Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's time for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championships Premier category. It's Super League time, ladies and gents. Good evening. I'm Jake Sanson. Beside me in the commentary box is Josh Anderson. And this week, Josh, it's one of the greatest racetracks on the planet, Spa-Francorchamps. And guess what, folks? It's raining. Oh, yes.
It is raining, and I tell you this, Jake, it doesn't show any signs of going away. I checked the weather forecast, and there's actually a yellow warning for thunderstorms in Spa, so that is going to cause serious problems if this keeps up. I've been talking with a couple of people who are expecting it to come in at this point at about, I don't know, they are expecting rain this race, so they'll be preparing for that. But there is lots of stuff to go through before we actually get to the race, including qualifying, which we're in at the moment. And I just say, actually, guess who's just gone pole? Jeffrey Fournier.
Absolutely, yes. The Red Archer comeback kid, Jeff Fournier, is currently leading the times, replacing Thomas Hinz for this one, who, of course, was the regular driver through the first part of the season. He will not be continuing this year due to work commitments, but Jeff Fournier has just popped up to pole position in the wet conditions here at Spa, with Michael Ayres in the sister car in second position. So the Red Archer cars are first and second at the moment in qualifying. Risto Capit is currently third, from Gergo Baldi, Alex Cooper and Florian Gaia. No sign of Rudy Van Buren in this session so far, Josh. We need to do some housekeeping here.
Yeah, and the big housekeeping is that, well, Bristol Capit may be in third place at the moment, but that's going to count for naught, as is Van Buren's not setting a lap, because you're not going to believe this, both of the VOD balls have back of the grid penalties to serve this race.
Okay, so what is the reason for them having to drop to the back of the grid this time? Because that's a big one in terms of the championship.
Well, you'd expect it to be track cutting penalties, but actually I was speaking to Mike Pittman before this race, and what's happened is that Risto Capit and Rudy Van Buren have both gone up to the 7th engine of the season, which seems like very early going, but there must be some sort of strategical ploy here, because Capit and Van Buren have dipped into engine number 7, both fresh engines for this race. They've obviously had to go to the back of the grid because of that, so neither VOD ball will be starting anywhere near the front. It'll be a case of trying to fight it out and get back towards the front again, which is going to open up the front end of this grid to the likes of Baldi, Cooper, Gaia, Morris, all these guys at the front. Is Gergo Baldi, I believe, has just had a bit of a position switch. But yeah, all these guys at the front that are going to be thinking, hang on, the VOD ball's going to be in the back now. We can win this.
This is very interesting. So with the VOD ball starting from the back, we've got ourselves a bit of an interesting result on the horizon, if this is to be believed, because we've got the Red Archer cars of Jeff Fournier and Michael Ayres first and second, with potentially Gergo Baldi in third, from Bart de Vos, Alex Cooper and Flo Gaia. Lee Morris is only 8th quickest in this session so far. Of course, a lot of the drivers in this grid in recent times, Josh, have been a little bit distracted in the last fortnight or so by something called the world's fastest gamer, which our colleague over at Downforce UK, Scott Woodwis, is the voice of. But there's been quite a few drivers who have been looking forward to this one, because obviously with world's fastest gamer being a GT contest, a lot of drivers are looking forward to getting back to doing what they do best.
Yeah, getting back in the open wheelhouse, back on the, you know, sort of pedal that they used to. You know, they are used to this, and they're going to be going for it. Obviously, not long left in qualifying now. So, you know, final couple of times is going to be put in. You know, Lee Morris, I think, one of the qualifiers actually for World's Fastest Gamer. So, you know, he's managed to make the top 20. He'll be racing in the first race. And I'll tell you this, Lee Morris, he's going to be a threat to anyone, as he's a threat here in Super League. But, you know, 9th at the moment, might not be very happy with that. But you've got, you know, some real chopping and changing going on at the front. At the moment, as it stands, we're looking to have a Red Archer front row lockout from Tyan, from Baldi, from De Vos, Cooper, Gaia, Morris. That's not the first 6 I expect to coming into this race.
No, indeed. The Red Archers. Oh, no. Dennis Jordan in the Adonis has just gone fastest at the very end of the session. So we've got time run down to nothing. So everybody will be on their final flying laps. But Jordan has just gone pole. Jarl Tyan is in 4th position now, having shot up there just in front of his team leader, Gergo Baldi, who has parked it. Bart de Vos has cancelled his flying lap. So Jeff Fournier is on a flying lap. Maybe he can go faster than Dennis Jordan and get that pole position back. This is going to be a real lottery of a race. We've seen several drivers up the front, particularly the VOD Bulls, of course. But Jeff Fournier comes across the line. Does he improve? He does not. So Dennis Jordan is going to be pole position for this race in the Adonis on a 2:04.419, 1.3 seconds clear of everybody else, with the usual suspects like Flo Gaia, Lee Morris, Alex Cooper and David Fidek whistling at the top 6, but not actually in it, unless David Fidek, the reigning champion, can suddenly do something. As Alex Siebel in the second of the Adonis cars goes into second place. So it's an all Adonis front until Fidek gets second.
Lucas Oiler's gone purple sector 2 as well. The double world champion gonna have a crack at pole as well, and the Hawkeye. This is not over. Frantic goes fourth. We got cars coming in left, right, and centre. Fidek goes, Siebel goes. They're all improving now. Your Tyron's gotten 2 personal bests as well. This could be crucial. I'm just keeping an eye on Lucas Oiler as he comes around the bus jump chicane.
Morris is pushing. Morris is pushing as well.
He squiggled it. He's in look. And Oiler's going to get help behind him, but this is going to be the question now. Is the double world champion going to go pole at Spa-Francorchamps? Yes, he is.
Yes, he does. Look at that. 2:04.
Oh, and he crashes into Morris.
But Tyne's gone even quicker. Jarl Tyne's gone even quicker on a 2:04.1. So it's all chopping and changing at the end. Cooper goes 5th right at the end of proceedings.
I think that's it.
That has got to be it. But what an amazing run. Jarl Tyne has got the pole position here at Spa-Francorchamps. That is absolutely incredible. Nero Tiberius, though, does say on the stream, track limits for Jarl. He went off the racetrack, so he may not be able to keep that lap. But what about that for Lucas Oiler? Lucas Oiler is on the front row of the grid. What a comeback.
He's always been very good at Spa. He won it in 2014 on his comeback with Midnight. He was dominant in 2013. Obviously, he was away for 2015 and 2016, but it has always been his track, Lucas. And from that second place, I would expect great things from him. About the tie-in track limits thing, he should be allowed to keep the lap. He'll just get it back at the grid for the next race. That's always how it works. But, you know, Jarl, unless he actually asks to get that lap disappeared, he'll be able to keep it because we don't check laps after qualifying, but he will get it back at the grid if he wants to have cut the track.
Okay, so according to the live stream, Nero Tiberius was watching Jarl Tyne's lap and said he went out at Blanchimont. He went wide at Blanchimont. So in that particular part of the circuit, I would question potentially whether or not he'd be able to keep it. Look at the rain out there, though. It is absolutely appalling. Ready for the start. It's almost Spa 98 conditions. And of course, with this being GPVWC, there is no safety car start. These guys are men. They will push it from the standing start. Jarl Tyne at the front. Lucas Oiler in second. Third, Dennis Jordan from David Fidek, Alex Cooper, Alex Siebel, David Franchich, Jeff Fournier, Michael Ayers, and I'm guessing Gergo Baldi, because of course Risto Capit is 10th in the standings, but he will have to go to the back of the grid. Rudy Van Buren sets no time at all. How about this? We've got the VOD Bulls starting at the back of the grid for this one, having been the dominant team of 2017. I'm very glad I got myself out of work for this one. This is an absolutely sensational race being set up here.
And I'll tell you, this Van Buren's going to have Lovett, Roland, Horrell, De Vries, Zipanek, Morris, Gaia, DeVos, Baldy, Capit. Well, Capit's going to the back anyway. So, I mean, look, Nick Roland, Ben Horrell, Sven De Vries, Ben Zipanek, Lee Morris are all going to prove hardy competition, you know?
This is an absolutely incredible scenario that we've got here. Some amazing performances set up. So let's just double check and see what happens to the Jarl Tyne lap. If he does get docked, then that's going to be Lucas Oiler on pole position. I
imagine he won't. He should be allowed to keep it unless he asks for it to be removed. And I don't imagine him declining pole at Spa in these conditions.
Not in these conditions. You want to start from the front straight away. But this is going to be particularly entertaining. We've got an absolute lottery on our hands here. I genuinely think, considering where we are, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, how tricky the wet conditions are going to be. Well, normally we get a rough idea going in who's going to win. I mean, it would be ridiculous to suggest that this is Rudy Van Buren's on a play, because he's going to have to work so hard to get himself further through the field. And look how many drivers are coming out onto the circuit for warm-up. We've got about a dozen of them already out on track. They want as much running as they can possibly get, because, of course, this is a new car, new tyres, and this is Spa in heavy rain, so you need as much experience in these conditions as you can possibly wish to get.
Not an easy combo at all, is it really? I mean, you look at this field, you've got the likes of Yaltai, Lucas Oiler, Dennis Jordan, David Feidig, all superlative drivers, but even this could be a challenge for the best of them, and I do not know how this race is going to go. If Rudy Van Buren or Risto Cabot can pull this off somehow, then I think the rest of the grid may as well just pack the grids and go, pack the bags and go home, because that'll be the championship wrapped up there if Van Buren can pull a win off from here.
There are 4 cars still in the garage. That shows you how important this warm-up session is to all of the drivers out there. Make that 3, because only Dennis Jordan, Lee Morris, and Dan Lovett are currently sat in the garages. Everybody else is out on track, trying to gain a little bit of extra knowledge. And I tell you what, at this track, in these conditions, it will be an absolute minefield. But I'm so jealous of the 22 cars out there, 21 drivers out there on the grid, because I was out in the car in Formula Challenge on Tuesday in the dry, and it was a heck of a race. Pair of races. The dry conditions were amazing. I would have loved to have done it in the wet, personally.
Honestly, I'm not jealous of them at all. I would not want to be driving Spa in these conditions.
No, I love the wet, me. I absolutely love driving in the wet. You get so much in terms of an advantage that you would not have in normal conditions. You've really got to be very patient. You've got to be able to keep your wits about you. You've got to be tolerant to the conditions. Every lap is a bit like a powerboat race in that the track conditions change every single corner. And where you'd be able to stand on the throttle and allow the car to just mechanically guide you round every apex, in the wet, you've got to be so careful. You have to be very astute and very, very aware of your surroundings. You can't just rely on the car in front of you to give you a good tow either. You have to be very alert. But you're concentrating 5 times more than you would be in the dry at Spa, because in the dry at Spa, you can allow the fast apexes to coax you round pretty smoothly. In the wet, every single corner is a minefield.
Do you know what it is? That's the first time I've ever heard sim racing compared to powerboat, and I don't think it's going to be the last.
Definitely not in these conditions. I mean, Signisphere was telling us just on the stream just then, we had 93% rain on the test server. Oh. It was really, really heavy, and I have a feeling this is going to stay this way pretty much for the entirety of this race, and that means that pretty much anybody in the first dozen has a chance to win.
And it's chucking it down at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we ended up with 100% rain offline in this race. I mean, Lucas Oiler and David Franchi's going to do practice starts. I think they need all the practice they can get. Even a double world champion is going to have to admit in this instance that he can do with a practice start, because there's going to be so much rain on the wet side of the track. It just, wheels are going to constantly be spinning. You may as well be in a powerboat. You get more traction.
Well, what this weather does in essence is give drivers such as Yaltai, Lucas Oiler, Dennis Jordan, Alex Siebel, Jeff Fournier, David Franchich a little bit of breathing space, because they weren't at the last round of the championship. Well, they've not been at many rounds of the championship, I should say, because Oiler and Tyan certainly were. But this is an opportunity for these guys basically to hit the reset button. They don't have to worry about the form book for the previous few rounds of the championship. It's going to be ancient history here today that Rudy Van Buren has won 7 out of 10 races, because now all bets are off. Yeah, all bets well and truly off. You know, he's won 7 of the last races. If he does win this one, it will be something of a miracle, you'd argue. But lots and lots of potential winners in this race. We've still got 5 minutes left to go a warm-up. It doesn't feel like it. Feels like it's flown, but it hasn't quite flown by. But, you know, it must feel like an age for the drivers as well. Just trying to get as much experience, as many laps turned as they possibly can. Spa a long circuit. We're only doing 44 laps here as well. Well, Rudy Van Buren has just gone fastest in the warm-up, 2:07.0 for the first flying lap, which is a full 1.7 seconds quicker than Feidig. So he's certainly not here to play second fiddle to the rest of the field. He will want to charge his way through the field. But to be fair to him, he's been in tough situations so far this season, Josh, and never as tough as this. He has never started last in torrential rain on a circuit as tough as Spa. If he wins here, that really is a championship victory well-deserved, isn't it?
I was about to say, they can pretty much walk home everyone else if he wins this, because he'll have the championship at the back, surely, if he can do that.
Nero Tiberius just writes, thing is, Rudy is so far ahead in the championship, he doesn't need to win this one, just needs to stay out of trouble and cruise as high as he can. But let's be honest, Rudy Van Buren doesn't do cruise, does he? He just pushes flat out to the limit. It's fastest or nothing.
He hates losing as well. He absolutely hates losing. He loves to win. And I'll tell you this right now, if he finishes anything lower than first, it'll be pretty much a failure for him. He'll want to get the win here at Spa, regardless of where he starts.
Well, this is an interesting one as well for Risto Capit, because he's probably thinking, well, my teammate has a lot of points in the championship. He doesn't have to take risks here. This is my opportunity to beat him. This is my opportunity to win. Could we see a very different Risto Capit, perhaps a more aggressive, a bit more motivated Risto Capit than we've seen so far this year?
But then you think as well, Rudy Van Buren and Risto Capit both starting from the back, so you don't know, really. I mean, they're both starting there. They're both in the back of the grid, both got to race each other. Risto might let Rudy by, Rudy might pass him, and then it's a case of, right, got to catch up and pass him, and I don't know what's going to happen. I honestly don't think Volvo's going to win this, but it'd be great if they did.
Have you just seen Rudy Van Buren losing it coming out of Blanchimont? It's so easy, even for the reigning championship, well, even for the current championship leader to lose the car, and that save was pretty incredible. I have a feeling we're going to see quite a few of those in this race. Poor Argo Tita, our cameraman, is going to be working overtime on this particular occasion. This is going to be so tough to keep an eye on, but this is an opportunity, I feel, for one team in particular to make a bit of a play, and that is Nordsjön, with, in particular, David Feidek. He has yet to win a race this season. You have to say, Josh, this is, without a doubt, his best opportunity yet.
One of his best opportunities. I mean, David Feidek, come rain, snow, thunderstorm, or absolute torrential downpour, you name it, he can deal with it. We call him Mr. Consistency with good reason. Of course, two-time Super League World Champion, just like Lucas Euler, but in his 2014 defence, never finished off the podium. He's that good.
What if we were to see a bit of a showdown in this race between Feidek and Euler? That would be an absolutely magnificent grandstand performance. But then, of course, you've got Jarl Tyen to throw into that mix as well. This could be one of the all-time classic Super League races ever.
They've only competed against each other 4 times in Super League of Feidek and Euler. Only done 4 races where they've both been in it. So, obviously, that could be a real showdown if it comes to it. I'm sure David would enjoy that. He loves competition, as does Lucas.
But then there's a couple of drivers, well, 3 drivers in the list for me who are out of position, who will be particularly motivated to work their way forward. Gergo Baldi, Florian Geyer and Lee Morris. All 3 of those will want to surge their way slightly further forward than they are. And all 3 of them are going to think, well, this is an opportunity to get a win on the board. In particular, Lee Morris, who's been outspoken about difficulties with the car. Here at Spa, they are effectively neutralised.
You say that, but he is looking quite far down on pace. Maybe just not liking the rain, not liking maybe some things with the car or something else. I don't know. He doesn't seem to be on his absolute fastest as Van Buren just goes absolutely fastest down a 2:07 dead in qualifying. But it's going to be so interesting to see what actually happens come this race, Jake, because like I have no idea what's going to happen. And this is one of the first times I've ever come into a Super League race and I've been completely stumped as to what's going to happen.
And I'm loving the fact that there's people up there, such as Dennis Jordan. We've got Lucas Euler, obviously, as we've mentioned there, but Jeff Fournier going very well in the early stages. And, of course, his teammate in the mix, Michael Ayres, is going very well here in the wet as well. So there's literally a collection of drivers who could win this one. And let's not forget Bart de Vos, actually, because Bart de Vos is in the top 6 in quali, I believe, or certainly not far away from the top 6. He's in the top 6 now in warm-up. Bart de Vos is a bit of a dark horse here. He could get the podium, maybe even a win.
I'll tell you this, that would be good for the performance to become champion. And, well, oh, David Feidek getting a bit drifty out of there, coming into that turn right there. But I'll tell you this, the fact that both Vodballs have back of the grids, the fact that pretty much everyone is on a fresh engine for this race, the fact that we've got rain, and the fact that the qualifying's been the way it has, this blows it open for pretty much anyone to win, and you'd be mad to miss this race.
Okay, so let's talk to the stream and say who's gonna win. I genuinely will take anybody's predictions, because I have a feeling that no matter who people predict, they've got a good point, because it really is that open a contest in the 2017 Belgian Grand Prix. This is gonna be one heck of a race with torrential downpour of rain, with so many differing strategies, and of course, so many drivers here with a point to prove for so many different reasons. Red Archer looking very strong with their 2 drivers, Jeff Fournier and Michael Ayres, in qualifying. Adonis likewise with their 2, Alex Siebel and the returning Dennis Jordan, both of whom very quick in qualifying. Jarl Tyen is the faster of the 2 Wouters automotive drivers. Gergo Baldi not quite as quick, and he will be disappointed at that. Lee Morris, Alex Cooper, Florian Geyer, all out of position. Nick Rowland desperately trying to prove he still has a right to be here. Bart de Vos, the dark horse of the proceedings. And then you've got the likes of David Feidek and Lucas Euler. It's all going to depend on who gets the best of this. We run out of time in the warm-up, and Sandeep Singh very rightly says on the stream, here comes 1998 Belgium, and the predictions come flooding in. Elise Skinner says, Michael Ayres for victory. I am liking the percentage behind that because Ayres is in the top 6 consistently and looking very, very cool and collected. Daniele Brambilla says, I'll have to say Dennis Jordan. Spectators are not going for the obvious, but that's particularly because Risto Capit is P19 and Rudy Van Buren 22nd and last. This is going to be one heck of a race. And Jarl Tyen, as you predicted, Josh, is keeping his pole position alongside Lucas Euler on the front row.
Yeah, this could be really interesting to see. And, well, I'm just running some numbers here, Jake, at the moment. But obviously, you know, it's a 2-minute 7-lap in warm-up. 44 laps. You know, you do 2 times 44. You're going to get 88. And then, you know, 7 seconds times 44. You do that, it's about another further 5 minutes. I have a feeling we're going to be running very close to the 2-hour time limit in this race.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be close. We may get to maybe 41, 42 laps at the most, especially when you consider that things will happen elsewhere around the circuit. And although we don't have safety car to consider, there are other implications of that nature.
Yeah, it's very wet. You know, it could get even worse. Laps could slow down even more. We got pit stops to do. If it dries up, we might go to the full 44, but it is going to be touch and go, even if it's a fully dry start and it gets wet after like 5 laps.
And, of course, there is the possibility even of full course yellow, depending on what we get. Although we've had very clean starts in the Super League this year, I don't think a single first lap in the 2017 season has ended in disaster so far.
I don't think we've ever had full course yellow GPVs. That would be a first.
Yeah, it really would be. And this is the weather conditions where we get it. We've had incredibly clean first laps in the Super League. Maybe 1 or 2 drivers losing control over the past. Monaco was the closest we got to a red flag. We got them in the junior categories in Formula Challenge and Super Cup, but we have yet to have a full course yellow or a red flag in the 2017 Super League season. If it's ever going to come, it's going to be in the pouring rain at Spa. We're hoping it's not going to happen, and we've got our drivers now moving to the start line. This is so difficult to predict. We have got... How about this? We've got 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 positions on the grid, Josh. It's going to be so close.
This is going to be one of the best races I've commentated on a while. I'm going to give you that personal guarantee now. We got a Wouters, we got a Hawkeye, we got a Adonis, we got a Nordstjen. I mean, we got a Street Fighter in the top 10 as well. We got teams that you wouldn't expect to be up there. The entire grid has been turned upside down, shaking about. This is almost like if you put in Motorsport Manager random grid function.
It certainly is, but it's great to see that we've got the Green Stripes racing team of Dan Lovett and Gerrit de Vries rounding out the row 9. This is an opportunity, surely, for them to finally get those points on the board. We talked about this at Hungary. They didn't quite complete enough laps. Maybe this is their moment.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Sandeep Choda in the chat actually saying 5 minutes 8 seconds is 44 times 7. So we are going to be touching go on the time limit. But, well, I wouldn't worry about that. I'd worry about the drivers getting through turn 1. They should manage, but we'll see if they do manage because, well, they said that in 1998 when all held out that ended as we go for the formation lap.
Here we go then, folks. I hope you've got some good snacks because this one's going to be a nail-biter. Let's talk you through the starting grid. Jarl Tyen is on pole position here at Spa-Francorchamps for Wouters Automotive in car 33. Alongside him, the former double champion, Lucas Euler in Hawkeye number 3 is second. Dennis Jordan is the leading Adonis Engineering car, number 4 in 3rd place. And the reigning champion, David Feidek, in the Nordstjen Racing car is 4th on the grid. Row 3 is Alex Cooper in the Hawkeye Racing number 2 and Alex Siebel in the Adonis Engineering number 7. The Alexes share row 3. David Francic in the Street Fighter Racing System 67 is in 7th place, and the returning Jeff Fournier in the Red Archer number 6 is in 8th position. His teammate Michael Ayres lines up in 9th position on row 5 in car 21 alongside the second Wouters Automotive driver, Hungary's Gergo Baldi. Then it's Bart de Vos in 11th position in the number 12 Kernel Sport, alongside former race winner in 2017 at Silverstone, Florian Gaia, in the Nordstjen Racing number 27. Lee Morris starts way down in 13th in the 62 Mad Cape. He will be charging through, but alongside him is Ben Schubenek in the Kernel Sport number 83. Another man wanting to move further forward. Sven de Vries in the Storm Racing team starts 15th on the grid in car number 75. And alongside him on row 8 is Nick Rowland in the second of the Mad Cape Racing cars, number 61. 17th and 18th are the 2 Green Stripes racing cars. Dan Lovett in car number 20 is 17th, and Gerrit de Vries in the number 68 is in 18th position, the only team to lock out a row of the grid. Risto Capit in the leading Vodbull Racing in number 15 is way down in 19th position as they take an engine penalty to drop them to the back. Ben Horrell is alongside him in the second of the Street Fighter Racing Systems cars in 11th place. Tobias Olsen had a horrific qualifying session. He starts down in 21st in the Storm Racing team number 80. And then right at the back in last place, this year's championship leader, 7 wins out of 10 so far, Rudy Van Buren in the number 14 Vodbull. It is just about the perfect grid for the perfect race in the perfect championship, Josh. I can't wait.
It could be the perfect upset as well if someone like Dennis Jordan takes the win. Anything could happen here. I've got no idea what's going to happen. I've never been less sure of a race ending in the entire time I've commentated on the GPVWC Super League. And I've been here for, well, a while, a couple of years, and I've seen some stuff, and I don't know how this is going to go. If you had to ask us, though, I'd say keep a big beady eye on Lucas Oil. This has historically been his track. He's loved it here at Spa. He loves the rain. He's a double world champion. He's second on the grid. I can't really see him not being in contention for the win, but look out for David Feidig too.
It is raining hard. It's already very wet around the circuit. This one could be the race of the season in 2017 around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Tyen Euler. Oh, yes, that is a pit lane already.
Van Buren obviously goes to I think we're going to get the start sequence now, though, Jake.
Yep, so Van Buren will start from the pit lane, but it's going to be Tyen, Euler, Jordan, Feidig, Cooper, Siebel, Frančić, Fournier, Ayres and Baldi in the top 10 with Rudy Van Buren, the championship leader, starting from the pit lane. This is going to be a nail-biter, and what a race this is going to turn out to be. We're ready for action for the 12th round of the 18-round championship here in GPVWC Super League. This is going to be the 11th round of the championship. Hang on to something, folks. This one could get interesting. Let's race at Spa-Francorchamps. Cracking start from Lucas Euler. He already draws alongside Yartain. Good start as well from Dennis Jordan, who's trying to hold off the attentions of David Feidig around the outside. Euler goes round the outside and takes the lead from Tyen. And there's a spin already in La Source. That is David Frančić.
Yeah, Frančić round, but everyone avoids. Luckily, they managed to get through on him. Rudy Van Buren actually pitted to take intermediate tyres. I don't know what he's thinking, but Yartain, Lucas Euler has gone through into the lead. Tyen second, Feidig, Jordan, Siebel, all follow on. Cooper challenging with 7th. Ayres going to go around the outside, then the inside. Going to swish left, right, then the Englishman goes down the outside in the number 2 car.
Tyen goes for the lead, and Feidig almost tries to go for him as well. Baldi on the inside comes together with Ayres, and they just about managed to avoid incident. Cooper tags with Ayres, and everybody's trying to spit their way through. Oh, no, there's Morris. Morris and Cooper come together.
Nobody's in pit act 2, they had a collision. There is absolute havoc going on here at Spa. Not quite 98 levels, but still crazy nonetheless. And Risto Capit's up to 10.
Frančić 20th, Morris 21st, Olsen in 22nd, Rudy Van Buren is up to 16th position already, Capit up to 11th position now, in there behind Michael Ayres, going side by side. Risto Capit is on the charge.
This could really be his race at the moment. Van Buren on the Hitlers, obviously going up to 16th. We'll see if that pays off, obviously, if the rain doesn't get any heavier. But this is a crazy battle at the front. Tyen's got the lead from Euler. Feidig chasing, Jordan chasing, Siebel chasing, Fournier chasing. 6 cars for the lead of this race. Euler pushing it to the ragged edge around these turns. This is a mental first lap.
And this is only lap 1 of 44. How on earth are we going to be able to have Lucas Euler really pushing Yartain. He's led twice in this first lap already. Feidig is up to 3rd place now, having got past Dennis Jordan. So Feidig is all over the back of Euler. How about this? Tyen, Euler, Feidig. That's your top 3. You never would have predicted that going into this race. But Risto Capit in 11th position, trying to make his way through. Jeff Fournier has gone. Fournier has dropped back.
Yeah, Fournier has dropped down the order big style. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, no, sorry. There he is in 5th, but he didn't register for some reason.
I must have missed a timing beam. That happens sometimes.
Righto, so Fournier 5th in front of Siebel, then Baldi, Gaia, De Vos, Ayres, Rudy Van Buren coming through the field. I think we got a spin further back, have we?
I'll go check for you, Jake. I don't think...
it's Dan Lovett. Dan Lovett spun it there on the final turn. And Lee Morris is in the pits. What a disaster.
Yeah, that's not going to be good for Morris. Obviously, he's going to have to pit and get any damage repaired that he would have otherwise had. And that's not going to help the face for him, of course. And, well, that's really going to hurt his race. That's not what he wanted.
How on earth has Rudy Van Buren got grip? Everybody else is on wet tyres. Van Buren is on intermediates.
He must know something we don't, Jake. Either that or something else. But he's definitely not quite got the start Capet has. Capet is a bit further up the road in 11th, obviously. He's chasing the whole pack ahead of him. I feel like Wets are the best choice, but he's maybe anticipating this being the extent of the rain. Obviously, with starting in the back, he can try anything he likes. Then it maybe it pulls a blinder off. But I think Wets are the strategy. Maybe acting as the guinea pig here.
Well, the thing is, it's still very wet and it's still raining hard. So I'm not quite sure what he thinks he's playing at, but he's staying on the road.
He is staying on the road, yeah, and, well, he's managing it, so let's not argue with something that works, I guess. Obviously, Rudy knows what he's doing. David Fidek has a slide off while chasing Dennis Jordan for 3rd place here. This is still crazy stuff. You never know what's going to happen. And, well, at the front here, this is still very much an on battle for 2nd and 3rd between Fidek going forward as well. And this has been the most crazy start of the race. Cabot and Van Buren, good starts from both, although you feel like they actually need to have done more.
I've never known the stream so quiet in the first 2 laps of a race. Everybody's just glued to the screen, desperately trying to pick out what's happening. But Jarl Tyen is starting to drop the hammer and get away from Lucas Euler. Jordan 3rd from Fidek, Fournier, Siebel. Baldi is 7th place in front of Florian Gaia, Bart de Vos and Michael Ayers in 10th from Capet, Roland, De Vries, Rudy Van Buren still running well in 14th on the Inters. Horrell, Jupanek, Francic, Tobias Olsen has come up to 18th from London.
Gaia's gone into the bus stop. He's all right though. He's not sustained any damage, but it was an incident that he had coming into the bus stop chicane. I'm just saying where he was 8th, of course.
He ran wide on the way in. He ran wide on the way in, and he's hit the barrier big time.
It was the exit of Blanchimont, and he just locked it over oversteer into the barrier on the entrance to the bus stop, and that's put him back a bit of position. Capet's getting 10th, and he's going for Ayers as a result. That's come into Eau Rouge here, which is Eau Rouge in the wet. But of course, yeah, Capet's just going to lift off there. He knows he can't go for it. Sensible thinking from the Estonian there. And here goes Gergo Morgan and Alec Thibault for 6. He got tons more speed.
He really has, and this is an opportunity to make his way up the inside. Baldi makes clean work of Seaman. Dennis Jordan trying to get his position back off Fidek, who's just taken 3rd place again. So Fidek up to 3rd place once more. Oh,
dearie dear, that is Sven De Vries without a rear wing. I've just noticed he's had a pile up there somewhere along the line. Has De Vries in 12th for the Storm Racing team. What actually happened? Oh, it was Gaia who went down the inside, and then he got sandwiched between. He had contact with Gaia, lost his rear wing after part of Gaia hit him, and well, there goes Rudy Van Buren through, but he got held up behind De Vries.
And Flo Gaia went into the wall in the process, so problems for both of them. But that has allowed Rudy Van Buren up into 12th position, would you believe? So now we've got Flo Gaia in trouble with big damage to his car. More problems as well. Alex Cooper is way down in 19th, still recovering after that first lap moment at Les Combes with Lee Morris, who has returned to the circuit in dead last, by the way, but he's still going quickly. But we've got Tyen, Euler, Fidek, Jordan, Fournier, Baldi in the top 6.
This is a great battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as well. We got going on Tyen really starting to pull away here. Apparently I sound like a robot, says the stream. Apologies for that if I am having connection issues. But, well, as it stands, though, still good racing. And we got battles up and down the fields. Capet and Van Buren both trying to catch the cars ahead. This could be a corker as here goes the boss on Siebel, maybe? Into the bus stop? No, he thinks better of it.
Well, Michael Ayers is still sat there in 9th position in front of it's Roland, then it's Van Buren, who still has relatively good pace considering it's torrential rain and the rain is very heavy. That car is still gripping. He must be the best driver in the world right now.
Well, I don't know what he's doing to keep that car on. Maybe just running more wing, I don't know. But
2nd place, Josh. 2nd place. Fidek is going to attack Lucas Euler down to Eau Rouge. He's going to think better of it, but he'll get a good run out of the bottom end of the hill and go straight down the Kemmel Straight. Euler runs a little bit deep. This is a chance for Fidek to get into 2nd place.
He's only going to have the draft, but that's enough. He's going to slingshot past the double world champion from one to another, from 1 to 3. 1 goes into 2, and 3 goes into 3. And Lucas Euler, well, that is feeling like he's absolutely outclassed there. It must feel like he's in a Super Cup car, but he's not. That's just the draft for you. Fighting in a second.
I did say this is the best opportunity Fidek's going to get this year to get a victory on the board, but Lucas Euler will not give him the satisfaction if he's got anything to say about it. Twice a champion in the GPVWC Super League. He will want to beat the reigning champion at his own game. Jarl Tyen up the front, couldn't care less. He's already going around Pouon as they come down towards the bottom end of the circuit. Fidek and Euler are already coming through now from Jordan, Fournier and Baldi. Alex Siebel still running well in the second Adonis cars. How about that? The Adonis cars, 4th and 7th at the moment, and Lovett is out. Lovett is out, and so too is Tobias Olsson. So I wonder if they've come together somewhere on the circuit.
Well, it wasn't exactly the best start for either of them, to be honest with you, but it's not, you know, that's an unfortunate end of the race, whatever has happened. Meanwhile, back at the front, it's our favourite Frenchman against the German. It's Jordan versus Fournier, of course. Fournier being the Frenchman, of course. I did say the names the other way around, but it doesn't matter. Maybe we will be seeing La Marseillaise for the Frenchman if he wins here. It'd be a bit of a miracle if he did, but Red Archer definitely on for something here as he challenges for 4th. As he's going to come to Blanchimont. He's not going to go for it into Blanchimont, obviously, because that's not an overtake opportunity, but he's going to get a run into the bus stop. Might go for the dive bomb, but thinks better of it, and he's just going to look for a run through Overreach, perhaps.
I'm just looking back to see what happened for Olsson and Lovett, both of them out of the race. Tobias Olsson's had a big accident somewhere and lost his rear wing and I think a couple of wheels as well. That was a really nasty looking incident for Olsson. Florian Geyer going through without a rear wing or a front wing, at the same time. Olsson has had a big shunt with Flo Geyer. That's what it was. So Olsson's already had a big crash. Now, just watching back, Olsson was missing his rear wing anyway and actually went off at the very high speed part of the circuit, the same sort of place where Bertie and Irvine went off all those years ago in 2001. And Flo Geyer had nowhere to go but into the back of Olsson's car. He then gets tagged by Cooper, who's lost his front wing. So absolute carnage. And that's what put Olsson out of the race. Didn't see Lovett's incident, but well, there's several big names there that were caught out in the incident. But Jarl Tyen doing an absolutely cracking job in the torrential downpour here at Spa on lap 5 out of 44.
He's having to work hard for it, though. He's just slipping left and right, drifting all over the place. That's how little grip he has. And then you look at Rudy Van Buren now. He's got so much. Tyen's got no grip, and yet he's still leading this race. That shows just how quick he is, how quick that Wouters is in this wet conditions. And, well, I tell you this race is gonna, it may only be 9% complete, but it feels so close to the start.
Risto Capit, P8, Rudy Van Buren, P11. Don't count out a Vod Bull Motorsport victory yet, especially with the form that Risto Capit is in. Don't forget that while Vod Bull Racing has won 7 of the 10 races so far this year, Risto Capit, the Estonian, has yet to take his first win of 2017. So he will be absolutely fired up to go for it as he now closes in on Alex Siebel for 7th position. But there are several drivers who are starting to make comebacks now. Lee Morris is up to 16th position as a result of the likes of De Vries, Cooper, De Vries and Geyer having issues. He's now behind them all. They're all behind him, sorry. Ben Schupanek is recovering in there behind Nick Rowland. Michael Ayres in 11th position. Basically, there are 12 drivers who seem to have avoided incident in this race, and they are the drivers in the top 12.
Van Buren, look at that. Within about 10 seconds, he's just got miles ahead to this group ahead of him. He's got past Michael Ayres. Now he's chasing down Bart de Vos. And when these two Vod Bulls get close to each other, I'm going to be interested to see what occurs. Will Capit stay ahead or will Van Buren go through?
How is he doing this? How is Rudy Van Buren running this race on intermediate tyres?
He's obviously got the tyre strategy perfect then. It must just be dry enough to use the inters. I don't understand it. Ben Horrell pits. Maybe he's thinking the same thing here. Maybe he's seen Van Buren go through, think I can have a crack at it too. He pits, goes in. No, he stays on the wet. He doesn't have the confidence.
Well, Alex Cooper does. He's on intermediate tyres as well. Meanwhile, Lee Morris has just gone purple in the final sector. So Morris is trying to make a bit of a play here to close back on the leading pack. He's currently about 40 seconds away from the race leader, Jarl Tyen. But don't forget, Tyen is about 4 seconds ahead of David Fidek in 2nd place. Rudy Van Buren now challenging Bart de Vos for 9th position as Capit has gone past Alex Siebel for 7th position. But Rudy Van Buren tied up behind Bart de Vos. We could still get a Vod Bull 1-2 here.
We could, but yeah, Rudy's done a lot of races, hasn't he? So maybe we should see someone else win. I don't know. I mean, I like Rudy Van Buren as much as the next guy, but you know, I feel like this could be Jarl Tyen's race.
Well, Alex Cooper has just gone purple in the first sector himself now, a 34-0. So maybe the intermediate tyre is actually starting to look like the way to go, because Cooper and Van Buren are the only drivers on intermediates. And Cooper has just gone purple in the final sector. So maybe there is just enough grip. This is such a weird circuit, Spa. There are certain parts of the circuit that can be torrential and you'll still get reasonable grip on the intermediates. But if you just put one wheel an inch or two offline, a centimetre out of position, it'll snap the car away. And we've already seen several drivers make that mistake in the first 5 laps of racing. So Rudy Van Buren's got to be so careful and keep his wits about him. But this is not the sort of style of driving Rudy Van Buren does. He just goes for it, and he's closing up on Bart de Vos once again.
Oh,
no!
Oilers had a collision with Jordan on the foot. Baldy goes through. It was on the rejoin out of the bus stop. Lucas Euler just went wide coming into the bus stop, and Jordan came through, and Euler plowed into the side of Jordan. Didn't expect him to be there. I think he was trying to go for the pits, but and I hate to say this, Jake, that was a moment of brain fade for the double world champ. Yeah,
that was a bit of Maldonadoism there from... We saw a similar incident like that in Formula 1 when Maldonado was playing for the pits and De Resta was caught out in a Force India. That is a very similar incident that Lucas Euler, a double world champion in this category, has just pulled. And here comes Rudy Van Buren. He will be the next man to take him on, as Baldi, by the way, goes for Jeff Fournier. So Baldi's going to try and make the move for 3rd place. Fournier defends. Van Buren tries to go for Lucas Euler, and Euler is resisting the current championship leader. Don't even think about it. You are not getting through. And Lucas Euler holds the station. He runs wide. Van Buren's going to try and go for it. Lucas Euler is not going to let the current championship leader intimidate him. But they both drift down wide. Van Buren's going to get caught. De Vos on the inside. Contact. De Vos is going through all of them. And look at Dennis Jordan. He's going to get through the ball. Rudy Van Buren is not going to be happy with Lucas Euler. Oh, he's going to be an infuriated Dutchman. Never mind a flying Dutchman. He was coming into that turn. It was round the corner. He went through. He was turning as right as he could get. Had to counter the oversteer. And then he got sandwiched between De Vos and Euler. And Lucas was turning right all the time. That was the most mental bit of racing I've ever seen. I'm sure the disciplinary committee will be going over that with a fine-tooth comb after the end of this race. But Rudy Van Buren will be livid. I have a feeling that Mike Pittman is already going up to race control to throw the book at Lucas Euler. That was some very cheeky defending. But hey, he's a ruthless racing driver. Biden at the front is chasing time. We completely forgot about that. He caught him. How has he caught Jarl Tyen? That is amazing. David Fidek has just been getting on with this. That gap that was 4 seconds. I wonder, has Jarl Tyen made a mistake somewhere? And that's just allowed Fidek to get him. 2 seconds down in sector 2. He must have gone off somewhere. Must have made a mistake. Fidek's just caught right back up. Zubinek goes purple sector 2. We still don't know who's going to win. Yoo-hoo, anybody home, y'all? I'm coming for you as David Fidek goes through Lassos. Capit is in the pits. Capit pits from P5. Going to be crucial to see what tyres it comes out on. Jordan's in. Ayres is in. Jordan's in. Now is a critical time there. Everyone's decided to come in. Risto Capit goes for wet. Does not change compound. Decides to stick with what he knows, and seeing if anyone else changes. Ayres does not change. Jordan does not change. Siebel goes fastest in the third sector, sorry. Jupanek purple in the middle sector as Capit rejoins alongside David Francic. That was close. And Francic is going to be able to hold the line for the moment. Risto Capit can then get him on the run up the Camel Straight. But Risto Capit, crucially, in 10th position now behind Francic. He surely will get him into Les Combes, and this is still game on for the victory for Risto Capit. But David Fidek is now right underneath Jarl Tyen. He's going to get him. Jarl Tyen on the outside line, and Fidek goes sweeping round on the outside line now for the left-hander. Jarl Tyen is still there, side by side for the lead, and Tyen gets it back again. Whoa, that was a close shave for Jarl Tyen. Almost lost the lead, gets it straight back, doesn't worry about, he's a nice, cool Norwegian as Jarl Tyen. He just doesn't care. He does care, of course, but he doesn't care about the fact that Fidek's there. He's not intimidated by the reigning world champion. Fidek's not intimidated by Tyen. They both won the lead. One of them can have it. Grab your flipping popcorn. Rudy Van Buren in 6th position behind Bart de Vos, now starting to make the move to go up into P5. So he's thinking about a move into 5th position, and it isn't going to be too long before he starts to make that threat. Jeff Fournier running in 3rd position, by the way, has got Gergo Baldi breathing down his neck. But Rudy Van Buren...
Feidig now is going for it again into Blanchimont, looking through the entrance there. Sorry to cut you off, Jake, of course, but Feidig really chasing hard here at the moment. I thought he was going to go for it, maybe into the bus stop, but no, Tyan gains ground.
This is amazing, this battle between these two, and this could go on for the whole race as Tyan and Feidig have both made... Oh, no, Tyan goes for the pits, Feidig does not. This is going to be a crucial outlap for Feidig and a crucial, a crucial in-lap for Feidig and a crucial outlap for Tyan. As Tyan comes in, who else is in? That looks like Baldy's in. So they're going to double stint them.
Oh, well, we'll have to see how this goes. We saw this happen before. With the parallel pit stops, but I think they've timed it right this time. Wow, it says, yep, they have. Perfectly timed.
That's textbook. You are never going to get a more perfect double pit stop in your entire life. Van Buren in. Now,
let's see what he does. He's staying on it as wise choice if he's working for them. DeVos stays on it as Roland stays wet for DeVos.
Roland gets into the back of Frantic in the pits. Lee Morris in the pits as well, but he's now actually going to be in amongst these guys. He's made a lot of ground as Lee Morris. We need to pick up on that. Lucas Euler has been into the pits, obviously, after that last lap or so of an issue. Risto Capit. Purple in the second, purple in the third. Risto Capit has passed Jarl Tyan, and he's up to P3. Don't forget that Tyan was actually ahead of Capit, and now Capit has caught him and passed him. Risto Capit is going for the victory.
And I think he
throws it back on the inside line. Oh my goodness, that was brave. And he goes wide. Capit's going to get it back again. Tyan's got grip on the outside line though. Throws it back to the inside. Forget about it, mate. This is my win.
Or is it Alex Sebos? Because he's coming through as well. Look at the Adonis driver.
I have no idea which direction to look in with this. Absolutely incredible. The racing is absolutely fever pitch. David Feidig, meanwhile, surely has got to be thinking about a pit stop shortly. Jeff Fournier, likewise, he stayed out and is in second place. Jarl Tyan is 16 seconds down the road from Feidig. I wonder if fresh rubber is the way to go here for Jarl Tyan, because I think he's going to beat Feidig out of the pits. Capit, likewise, it's going to be Tyan versus Capit for the victory.
That could be the case, and I'm just wondering as well, because Capit pitted before Van Buren, didn't he? So, Bristol Capit to be fourth now and ahead of RVB, that's going to put the Estonian the favourite out of the two Vodbulls for the race win.
Yeah, RVB rejoined in 11th position behind Bart DeVos and Michael Ayres, and it looks as though on the first lap out of the pits on those intermediates, he is struggling. Feidig and Fournier both in together. Now, where is Jarl Tyan? He's in the final turn. Feidig has stayed out a lap too long for my money. Jarl Tyan and Risto Capit are going to screen past him.
They are, yeah. They're both going to go through. Fournier comes in, stays on the wet. What's David Feidig doing? I'm trying to have a look at where his tyres are. Feidig appears to be staying on the wet too, and does get out behind Capit. And Feidig still going to be amazingly third.
Well, it's only a short pit lane, isn't it? But he has crucially lost the lead and lost second to Risto Capit. So it's game on between these three. Well, potentially four, because don't count out Alex Siebel. He has been consistently getting on with the job here. Siebel has made a pit stop, but he is there in P4. So he has actually been using the percentages of this race so beautifully. He's done a cracking job so far.
It could still be any of these four who win it, I think. And, well, Risto Capit, second at the moment. For the first time this season, Jake, he's going to be firmly on the #1 strategy here. He's going to be getting the preferential treatment. He's going to be the one with a shot at the win, not Rudy.
On the stream, Rapid Scorpion, aka the BRSCC's marketing executive, Scott Woodward, says this is quickly becoming a GPVWC classic. Never a truer word spoken. Jarl Tyan, 7/10 of a second ahead of Risto Capit. David Feidig on fresher rubber, closing in on both of them. Alex Siebel, not a million miles away. Gergo Baldi has closed in. He's only 5 seconds down the road from the race leader, Jarl Tyan, with Jordan, Fournier, Jupanek, and DeVos all still in touch. Ayres has got Rudy Van Buren breathing down his neck. Nick Rowland is actually driving very solidly in 12th place. Frančić 13th. Morris is absolutely storming towards them. He's gained about 12 seconds purely in the pit stop cycle.
He's making time up left, right and centre, isn't he? He could be within the top 6, 7 by the end of this race. I imagine we're 20% of the way through. It doesn't feel like 20% of the way through. It feels like 10% of the way through. I don't want this to end. Can we do double distance race, please?
Lucas Euler and Alex Cooper running in 15th and 16th at the moment. Plenty of time for them to make up. Gerrit de Vries, in all of that, we missed Gerrit de Vries out of the race with a suspension problem. So, unfortunately, neither of the Green Stripes racing cars are going to make points this time again. Tobias Olsen, the only other retirement after that huge shunt on the way out of Blanchimont. But Jarl Tyen leads the way from Risto Capit by just 0.8 of a second, with Fidek reeling them both in.
I've just seen in the comments, Bastian Pezol's come along for the ride as well. He says, now we just need some hailstone. Well, I don't think R11 quite supports that, Bastian, but that would be grounds to red flag the race.
Borja Milan, what's going on here? 3 SC drivers in the top 7. Are you that surprised? It's absolutely chucking it down in the wet at Spa. And look, Flo Gaia's lost his rear wing again. This is a nightmare for Flo Gaia.
Horrell out as well with problems with the suspension. But yeah, I hope Noljan brought a spare supply of rear wings, because Gaia's going through them quicker than I go through popcorn at this rate. He's going to have used about 17 by the end of the race. I'm sure the German's not happy. He'll probably retire soon, knowing him, I think. I think he's probably going to call it a day. Maybe, I think, he's just not been his race. He's just trundling around now in 19th place. He's a lap down. I personally wouldn't say any position to continue.
Well, just watching the replay of Ben Horrell's accident, he lost it coming out of that fast double left-hander at Pouhon. Gaia's got absolutely no grip at all as he tries to bring the car back to the pits. So he's obviously done that at Eau Rouge. Sven de Vries is in the pits. That looks like a normal pit stop. Jarl Tyen, 0.4 of a second. Jarl Tyen runs wide! Jarl Tyen runs wide! And that's going to put Risto Capit into the lead. Fidek's going to try and get through as well. So Capit takes the lead here at Spa.
This is firmly the Estonian's race now. He is a full 26 seconds ahead of his teammates. I don't see that coming back anytime soon. Risto, though, the VOD ball number 1 this race, leads the race from Tyen from Fidek. Fidek's going to have a run on y'all here.
From 19th on the grid to the lead, Risto Capit is determined to win his first race of 2017 as David Fidek, the reigning champion, closes in on the Norwegian. Jarl Tyen, the man who started from pole position to try and get himself back in a second position. But with so much adrenaline pumping through these drivers, with so much attrition in this race still to come, and so much standing water on the surface here at Spa, you can bet your bottom dollar that this race is only just cooking up. Fournier up into 6th place past Gergo Baldi further back as Dennis Jordan runs in P5 behind his teammate Alex Siebel. But Jordan, Fournier, Baldi is the battle for 5th position. Baldi's dropped back a little bit. Jupanek in 8th from De Vos, Ayers, Roland and Francic. What's happened to Rudy Van Buren? His pace is just evaporated.
I don't think it doesn't working anymore, to be honest with you, Jake. I think this is the point of the race where they're going to stop working. Van Buren really losing time now. As I say, that solidifies Risto at the front of the race as being the number 1 here. But Fidek versus Tyen, the draft is not going to be enough for the reigning champion. He's going to have to hope that Jarl Tyen makes a mistake here.
And he has made a couple in the last few laps, so David Fidek still has much of an opportunity as Flo Gaia finally brings the car back to the pits. It's amazing, isn't it? The contrast in the fortunes of the Norwegian cars. In fact, Flo Gaia parks it. His race is over, and I'm not at all surprised.
Neither am I. I just figured at this point in the race, what's the point in continuing? He's gone through so much. But I tell you this, big props to Siebel and Jordan, 4 and 5 in the Adonis cars. This is by far the Dutch team's best race of the season.
Well, we've got a question from Tom Parker on the stream. What happened to Lucas Euler? Well, he got into the wars with Rudy Van Buren and had the mother of all dogfights on the way out of Les Combes, which turned into a 5-car scrap on the way through. It was an absolutely amazing run, but we have a feeling that Race Control is going to have something to say about it. And surely Mike Pittman, team boss of Vodball Motorsport, is going to have something to say about Lucas Euler's contact, swarming around, bashing the side of Rudy Van Buren's car. Lucas is going to say that's just motor racing, but I have a feeling Rudy Van Buren will see it differently.
Yeah, I'm sure the Hawkeye and Vodball camps aren't going to be very happy with each other about that one. But, well, something you'll be happy about is the fact that we got a battle on for 5th and 6th. Dennis Jordan and Fournier very closely run at the moment, as are these top 3, of course. But nothing really happening at the front at the moment. So Jordan and Fournier may be a better battle to look at. The Frenchman having a stormer.
Nero Tiberius makes a very good point on the stream. All the guys on Inters should pit for wets. They are 3 to 4 seconds off the pace. Hence why we have now seen a massive drop in pace from Rudy Van Buren, Lucas Euler, and Alex Cooper. They have all just completely wrecked their strategies by staying on the intermediates, or in the case of Lucas Euler, switching to intermediates. Purple sector for Alex Siebel.
Yep, Siebel gets a purple. Zapanik in the pits now, in the car now. I imagine if any of the previous pit stops or anything go by, he should stay on the wets. These are probably the tie to be on at the moment, just under shooting.
Here comes Fidek. Fidek's going for second, alongside Jarl Tyen on the way down the Kemmel straight down towards Lake Combe. This is the chance for Fidek. Jarl Tyen holds it round the outside. Fidek has to go over the curbs. Jarl Tyen runs wide on the exit curb, and they're still nose to tail.
Well, it was pretty close there. Fidek braked a little bit earlier. That disadvantaged the Englishman. I think time would have been forced to yield if he'd gone a bit later. Now he goes wide, and now Fidek's going to get the cut back. Straight through goes the Englishman. This is where he gets the benefit, or is it? Because the Tyen just gets it straight back again. This is a cracking battle between the two of them. And here comes David Fidek again.
He's going to get alongside. Will he make the move into Pouon? That's going to be some bravery. No, even he's that brave as he hangs back, runs a little bit to the white line on the exit curb through the double left-hander at Pouon. And as they come down towards the right-hander once again, David Fidek runs right in tight behind Jarl Tyen. Interestingly, Rudy Van Buren has just made the pit stop and switched to wet tyres for the first time in this race. So even he now has to concede. His gamble on intermediates was incorrect. So he is now fighting to be in the points. He's in 14th at the moment. That's only going to give him 2 points. And there's going to be, well, potentially his teammate Risto Capit is going to take a massive chunk out of his teammate's lead.
45 seconds over 36 laps is what he's going to make up. And that actually doesn't sound that much when you break it down like that. But in these conditions, one mistake is going to ruin you. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can do it. Though I imagine Risto Capit, if Rudy Van Buren catches up to him, he will still be #1 candidate for the race win here. Because, I mean, he's got into the lead and he's held it.
Jarl Tyen is working so hard to gain ground on Risto Capit. It's those final 2 corners where he's so strong. He's just made up 0.6 of a second on Risto Capit in that sector alone. As into the pits comes Alex Siebel and his teammate, Dennis Jordan. They have both come in together. So once again, it's a stacked pit stop for the Adonis cars this time. Siebel comes in. Will Jordan be impeded? That's the big question.
No, not by a mile. Not by a mile. They got that right as well. Jordan comes in about 4 or 5 seconds later, comes onto the wet tyres as well. He's got that absolutely right. The team have got that absolutely right. And I think Michael Ayres is in too in the red Archer car. He pulls, oh, he overshoots his pit box. No, he doesn't. Actually, sorry, my mistake. Just gets in his pit box and launches back out on the wet tyres again. So clearly the time to be on right now. As look at this, we've got Francic and Jordan.
Francic and Jordan having a great battle in 8th position. Let's see if Francic is going to be able to get the run down the Kemmel straight. I've also got one eye on the Tyen-Fidek battle because Fidek is still swarming all over the back, trying to make his way through. Siebel has rejoined. That's worth picking up on behind Bart de Vos. So he's only just behind Bart de Vos. Still in the top 6. Keep an eye on Siebel in this race because I don't think he has finished his run so far. Meanwhile, Hawkeye, Euler and Cooper are still doggedly, determinedly running on the intermediates. Alex Cooper's just gone green in the final sector, so he set his personal best, but neither of these guys are going to win this race if they remain on the inters. Even Rudy Van Buren has relented and switched back to wet tyres. Look at it out there. It's lunacy to be on inters right now.
Well, if you think it's going to work, but it obviously isn't, you know, that's the thing. Obviously, we've proven at this point that the wets are the time to be on. Van Buren's just set his personal best, well, actually, yeah, he's just set his personal best sector 1 on the wet tyres. So there you go. And it actually turns out to be 6 cents greater than Capit's sector 1.
Yeah, he's going quicker than his teammate by over half a second in the first sector alone. So Rudy Van Buren may have the chance to at least get back into the top 6, if nothing else. David Fidek still trying to chase down the Norwegian. Jarl Tyen in the Valtus Automotive car. But look at the time that they're making up on Risto Capit as Capit dives for the pits. Jarl Tyen and David Fidek may get the chance to get one over on Capit, but Capit may just be covering himself here by pitting a lap early. He'll have fresher rubber. Is this going to be Capit consolidating his lead, or can Tyen and Fidek pull a fast one on him?
Well, we'll have to see, really, see if this is going to be able to be a case of I'm going to out-strategy you or not, but we'll have to wait and see.
So here we go. Let's have a look and see how this all works out. But Capit rejoins in 4th, so he's behind Jeff Fournier as Bart de Vos pits as well and drops behind, but he's going to slot in around the Baldi-Francic battle. Might get out just behind Lee Morris, actually. Morris is coming through pretty quickly. We need to keep an eye on him, actually, because Lee Morris is now up to 11th position, so he's making good ground. Rudy Van Buren making even faster progress. He's now tucked in behind Michael Ayers in 14th position, but still making progress as Lucas Euler makes a pit stop.
Yep, Euler pits in from 15th as well. We got to keep an eye on him as well because he's still in the points technically. And when he comes in, goes back onto the wets, decides that the inters aren't working for him. And I think that's well to be seen as, oh, look at this, Roland and Jordan for 6th.
Roland is swarming around quite a lot here. He's not same pit cycle as these guys. Baldi, oh, go Baldi, almost parks his car into the rear wing of Nick Rowland, and that for once would not have been Rowland's problem in making a mistake there. We've seen Rowland make a few errors in the 2017 season, but so far he is being very cool and calculated. Baldi though throws it to the inside line. Well done to Nick Rowland for sticking to his convictions there, hanging it on the inside line. Forget about it, mate. You're not going to try and bid it on the inside of me. I need points, but you need to save your reputation a little bit. You've been sloppy in the last few races by my book, says Nick Rowland. I'm going to get points here. Try something else, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to really force him to do something different here. That's the thing. And, wow, speaking of something different, here's something different. Your Tyan, who's just squiggly going into the pits there, cedes the lead to David Friedrich, who goes in. And I imagine this was obviously a pit stop for Tyan. This is the pit stop window, I think. Coming in now, some drivers
Capit's in the final turn. Capit's in the final turn by pitting a lap earlier. Gain track position, big style. Risto Capit is going to be quite considerably ahead of his rivals. The Artayan hasn't even left the pit yet. Risto Capit going through La Source. Risto Capit definitely now, for me, the favourite to win this race. He has gained a massive quantity of time on Jarl Tyan, who's only now just coming back onto the circuit. Risto Capit through into Eau Rouge. This is Capit's race to lose.
Van Buren's just on a 2:07.6. We're talking about counting him out, but that's a sensational lap on the Dutchman. On pace alone, he could win it, but he's in 12th. He's 35 seconds down. You got to factor that in too.
That's amazing. That's 2 seconds a lap quicker than anybody else in this race at the moment. Rudy Van Buren, currently in 12th, has not given up. We're not even halfway home, and he's 35 seconds down, but he's going 2 seconds a lap quicker than everybody else. If he could keep this up...
Pebble sector 1. So it's not over. Fournier spins ahead of him.
Oh, no, not Jeff. There
was contact or something with Fournier. Fournier had some sort of incident. Capit went on the inside. Oh, it was contact. Capit got squiggly. I think the wheels looked up on the way in, and he went into the right rear of Fournier, tipped him round, and, well, he's gone through there, and Fournier's gone back. I think that was a racing incident, because I think he just locked the rails up, but that is unfortunate for Fournier, who loses track position.
Well, you could say that's a racing incident, but obviously the Red Archer team boss is going to have a question about it. Did you see that? What do you reckon? Do you think he pushed him off? Because we think he did. So David Friedrich leads the way by 7 seconds to Risto Capit, and that is not enough to control the pace of this race. But maybe David Friedrich is going to play the long game here, and perhaps he can save himself a pit stop on Risto Capit. Maybe that's the way he's going to win this race. Friedrich is just playing the percentages. He's not losing time particularly. He's just running at a very similar sort of pace to Risto Capit, although on the last lap he was 9/10 of a second slower, but that's because he's trying to save himself a pit stop. He goes 2 laps longer than Capit. This could still work for the Norwegian racer.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that incident again between Fournier and Capit. I don't think Capit's turned when the back kicked out. I think it was just a lock of the rear brakes or a loss of traction or something, and well, Fournier must have turned in, and yeah, Capit was there. I don't think there was any malice involved, of course, but you know, Risto must have had an incident. He goes into the lead now, obviously, with Friedrich pitting and coming out in P5 here, but yeah, interesting to say the least, and I'm sure that Nikos Evangelitis will be having a little bit of a chat with the race stewards himself as Nick Rowland pits.
Well, Jeff Fournier is now in 2nd position, just in front of Jarl Tyan. Watch Tyan on the Kemmel Straight. He's got great pace, he's got great speed, and he is just going to storm down the inside line into Les Combes. Jarl Tyan is going to have this one on a silver platter. He makes the move stick. Jeff Fournier concedes beautifully. Doesn't cost himself any time in the process either. He just slots in behind the Norwegian and decides to take a little bit of a masterclass from him as Nick Rowland slots in between Francic and Morris. Where has Lee Morris come from?
That is a good question. Where has he come from? Where is he going? Indeed. Not quite Cotton Eye Morris, but absolute aggravation. I'm going to go as fast as I can, Morris. Not an aggravation to me, of course. I love seeing him go this quick, but an aggravation to the rest of the field because he's becoming a threat.
Well, Francic is now having to defend from Nick Rowland, who goes round the outside into Lecombe. They're going to touch wheels, but somehow they get away with it. And now Lee Morris is going to stick himself on the side. Thank you very much, David. I'll take the place. Great driving from Lee Morris up at the 13th.
Yeah, up in the 13th, and now he's got his own teammate to contend with. Nick Rowland, of all people, of course, such a talented driver in his own right as Nick. He's had some great Super League career moments as well. Let's see what happens when he and Morris have a bit of an on-track battle with each other. That could be interesting.
So it's Cabot leading, Ty in second, 6.8 seconds down the road. Fidek is third from Siebel, Fournier, Jordan, Gergo Baldi, who made the pass on Nick Rowland, I should say, just before Rowland made the pit stop. So Baldi's on the move as well. Jupanek is 8th, De Vos is 9th, just behind his teammate, in fact, as those two run together. Michael Ayres is 10th, and who's next? It's Rudy Van Buren, and he's still absolutely rapid out there, going at least half a second quicker than the leaders, and 2 seconds a lap quicker than most of the people on the same bit of tarmac as him.
Yeah, Van Buren's caught up to 29 seconds from 35. Got to still be in within a shout of the podium, you think. I'd still hope that Bristol Cabot would win this race, of course, because, you know, he's been there on strategy alone. He's not made the tyre strategy mistake. He's been out there and he's been leading it. And I feel like if he were to lose the lead of this race, it would be a crying shame for him. I think Bristol really... I'm not going to say that Rudy Van Buren doesn't deserve to win this race, because if he can catch up, then sure. But Bristol, I feel I would like to see him win after that brilliant start.
Yeah, the Estonian was really strong in the off-season in the Legends Championship, the Masters Series. He was absolutely on form, and that was a really nice way to set him into the new 2017 season as teammate to Rudy Van Buren. He was always going to be up against it, and he has been the most incredible number 2 you could ever ask anybody to be. But you've just sensed in the last 5 to 6 races, he's been so frustrated. He's had a car that he knows can win, knows that can dominate, and for whatever reason, circumstances have played against him. In 19th position on the start of this race, Risto knew he had absolutely nothing to lose because he was at the back of the grid anyway. So he basically decided to go by the hashtag challenge accepted and storm his way through the field. He's now leading the race by 7 seconds and pulling away, by the way. So Jarl Tyen, who started this race from pole position, is being beaten by a guy who started P19.
He is, and well... it would be the fairy tale for Cabot if he could win like this, wouldn't he, really? It would be the ultimate win. This
is shades of Barrichello in Germany 2000, is it? Because it started from right at the back of the field, in the pole, nothing. He's been the perfect number 2 to Van Buren. And now, hopefully, if he can just keep it together for the remaining laps of this race. We're only on lap 18 and 44, so let's not jinx it. But things are looking good for Cabot to get a fairy tale victory, as you say.
It would be his first of the season, and that is surprising, you know. But you know, I really want. I'm behind Risto. I know I said Lucas Oiler, but I always like to see Risto Cabot win.
But it's a big disaster, really, for the Hawkeyes of Lucas Euler and Alex Cooper. They have absolutely made a hash of their pit stop strategy. Cooper is still out there on intermediates in P16. He still seems to think that's the right call, despite the fact he's 0.6 of a second slower than Lucas Euler in the first sector alone.
Oh, there's a scuffle going on here for P9. We got Van Buren, Fournier, and Ayres. 3 cars out of the final turn. I've just noticed that.
Van Buren's in there as well. Van Buren trying to come past them both. Fournier and Ayres, the 2 Red Archers cars, as Jupanek's gone into the pits. Now, this is an opportunity for Van Buren. As Ayres goes wide, Fournier gets through, but I have a feeling that Van Buren's going to pick up the pieces as well. He goes through and moves up into P9. So Rudy Van Buren solidly into the top 10 for the first time in this race. Now with a chance to close up on Jeff Fournier.
Yep, indeed, and Fournier, everyone's wide. Squiggle from Van Buren. It catches it though, but that's going to compromise his straight line speed. Then again, Fournier went wide too, so he's going to have the draft. And look at Ayres though, he's there and thereabouts. He's not safe as Van Buren, but he's going to dive. But Fournier's got the braking well held from the Frenchman. That took some bravery.
Yeah, Jeff Fournier is one of the best in the braking zone. I would say he's of the top 5 in the braking zone in this class of cars. And let's not forget, he's not even a permanent driver in Super League. He is a super sub, but I would still put him in the top 5 of the best of the late breakers. He just has so much confidence in slow speed and in terms of car stability. And look, he's getting away from Van Buren. He's scarpered. Really, Van Buren did not want to throw the percentages. He knows he's got a chance to finish on the podium in this race if he just continues the speed he's on. 36 seconds deficit to Capit, but Capit and Van Buren are once again in a class of their own on speed. David Feidek, though, sets the new fastest lap of the race in his bid to catch Jarl Tyen, 2:07.392.
Well, that is pretty quick from Feidek, it is. And, well, Van Buren, 36 seconds now. He only has 26 laps to get it. So, you know, the laps and the time are coming down. I'm still skeptical as to whether he's actually going to be able to do it. But well, we'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, that's what it's about. Alex Siebel comes into the pits as we have been joined in the commentary box by one Mike Pittman.
Mike, I have no idea how much of your nails are still left on your fingers, but this is one heck of a race it looked as though it was over before it even began, and now Risto in the lead.
Yeah, my hands, and I've got a pen all over me, I've got calculators to go. Like, yeah, believe me, I've got minutes to spare with you guys, I think, at the moment. Risto, yeah, going okay. We just need to, it's Feidek. It looks like he's doing a stop less than us. So we need to factor that
of course, you've got Rudy, who's now storming his way through the field, going 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds quicker than most of the guys around him. But he can't really afford to be too risky. As Feidek's made the move on the inside of Jarl Tyen, Mike, sorry, but Feidek has got through and taken that second position. After so much hard work, Jarl Tyen's still going to try and come back at him. But Mike, this is now surely an opportunity for Risto to just control the pace. But this is good with Feidek battling with Jarl Tyen, surely.
It helps us, yeah. Like I say, it's a bit of a yo-yo with the pit stops at the moment, and if it does dry up a bit, that merely factors into us. Rudy's still running with damage, so he's nowhere near as quick as he could be after that. I won't say anything about the instant boiler, but yeah, we're not best pleased. So
what is it on the car that's actually damaged at the moment?
Both suspension. It's nearly undrivable. We sat in the pits and fixed everything on the car we could for 12 seconds, so we lost that as well on the pit stop. And we've done an extra pit stop to want to.
And yet he's in 8th place.
And yet we're there.
Oh my word!
The first stint, I think, was the right call to dive in the pits and then take the inters. That worked to our advantage before the race even started, because we knew on the out lap we'd made the wrong call. That worked really well. We love the tyres. It was the damage that's killed us off really, and we then went right. Risto stayed on the wets and flew away with it. We made the wrong call staying with Rudy on the inters, but it was worth the gamble in the position he was in.
Yeah, he was at the back of the grid anyway, wasn't he? So I guess it would have always been worth it. Let's say Rudy Van Buren does catch Risto Capit. What's going to be the deal there? Is Risto going to be allowed to is Rudy going to be allowed to fight Risto, or do you think it's going to be his race to win?
Oh, they can fight each other. They just don't touch each other. That's the rule. That's absolutely fine. I think realistically though, at the moment, that it is pretty much at the moment Risto's race to win at this stage.
Yeah, it must be on the optimum strategy at the moment, given his position.
Yeah, absolutely. We just, if all stays well, it's between him and Feidek really at this point by the looks of it. And Tyen there in case anything messes up. But if we drop only a few percentage on the wetness, if it starts drying up, then it's anyone's game, because the inters are a big factor in this, and it'll be when it does against everyone's pit stops who hasn't got to make an extra one. If it happens to time right to your pit strategy anyway, then you'll get a massive advantage. If it does dry up, it might not.
Okay, Mike, well, thank you very much indeed. I know that obviously Risto's not far away from the pits, so we'll let you crack on. Thank you so much, Mike.
Cheers, have fun.
Well, Risto Capit does lead the way, 7 seconds ahead of Feidek. Jarl Tyen has come out of the pits in 3rd position, only a couple of seconds ahead of Siebel. De Vos, Jordan, Fournier, Rudy Van Buren now 8th, and still doing an amazing job considering double suspension problems. Lee Morris is now 9th, by the way. Francic 11th from Roland. Baldi, who's only just pitted. Zupanek, Ayers, Lucas Euler down in 15th. Alex Cooper down in 16th. And then Sven de Vries is the last man in.
Yeah, de Vries has not exactly had the best of races either. Problems at the start of him, for course, but then he's just managed to claw it back and keep going, really. That's what you have to do in conditions like these sometimes. But at the front, at least, Capit from Feidek, this really is looking to be Risto's race if he can just keep hold of this at the moment. And it is starting to spread out a bit now, but the Risto battle's going on.
And surprise, surprise, there is not a single driver out there on the circuit now on intermediate tyres. It would be lunacy to try it. As Risto Capit, I think, is going to make a pit stop now. Here he comes. So Risto Capit, just a lap after Jarl Tyen. He's still doing that. David Feidek, meanwhile, will probably be trying to stretch out the tyres.
He's coming.
Oh, Feidek's coming on the same lap as Capit. That is interesting.
If ever I saw one. That is a reaction if ever I saw one from Feidek. He's just come straight in.
I have a feeling that Feidek has worked out, the team have gone and done their mathematics and worked out that they can't beat them on the pace that they're currently at by saving another pit stop. So now they've just got to ask David Feidek to go flat out hell for leather to try and beat Risto Capit, which might end up working out as the better strategy. Although the problem now is that on those tyres, Feidek has actually lost out. Look, he's still sat in the pits. And Jarl Tyen has gone through. Alex Siebel has gone through. Dennis Jordan has gone through. This is a nightmare for David Feidek.
Yeah, this is not exactly what you'd call gone well. Bart de Vos in as well. He's going to get passed by Morris. Van Buren in as well in the Vod Bowl. So RVB comes in. He's going to get passed by Franchich, Roland, Baldy, Zupanek. All going to go through on Rudy Van Buren here. He's going to stay on the wet. Obviously, he knows that's the time to be on now. Lucas Euler comes in as well. So obviously, it is pit stop time. But we got a close run battle between Baldy and Roland for 10th at the moment, as well as Jordan and Feidek for 4th.
Capit for the win now. You have to say it. He's 5 seconds ahead of Jarl Tyen. His closest opposition, David Feidek, the Nordian team, they've realised that this pit stop strategy is not going to work the way they hoped it would. So he is now going to have to do his very best to just try and grab whatever he can from this race. But he is now dramatically 9 seconds behind Jarl Tyen. I wonder if they had an issue in the pits there, because that is more than just a mistake from David Feidek.
Yeah, Feidek has dropped down to 5th now. I reckon within 14 seconds he's not out of the race win. I think he's still within chance here. Definitely still got a crack at it. Let's not rule that out for certain. He can still win this race. You know, 14 seconds is a doable gap within half of a race distance. But I don't know how long we've been going time-wise now, Jake. That's the question. Because we have a 2-hour time limit on this race, and we're only 48% through on distance.
Well, we're probably looking at lap 42 or 43 for the race to end at this point. I think it's going to be very tight indeed. It's not clear. Roland, Baldi and Zupanek having a magnificent scrap over 10th position at the moment. Lucas Euler has rejoined behind his teammate Alex Cooper from the pit stops. Both of them are now on wet, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of pace they can get, as they were both reasonably competitive in the wet qualifying. So let's see what they can do, as Baldi goes very wide on the exit of Blanchimont, and this is going to be an opportunity for Zupanek to get himself an opportunity to go by. Nick Roland is scarpering pretty sharpish. He doesn't want to be involved. But Zupanek has a good run on Gergo Baldi, and they both run very wide indeed on the run to the bus stop. Zupanek swarming around all over the back of Gergo Baldi, but they both decide to just neutralise it, let bygones be bygones for a couple of corners, and then go for it again into La Source. But Risto Capit pulls out another second on Jarl Tyen. Surely this is now his race to lose.
Yeah, gotta be his race to lose, perhaps. I think he'll be very happy with this race win. He's pretty much got it right from start to finish. His Risto charged through the grid. Got it.
Feidek's going to try and make a move on Jordan from a long...
No, it's not going to work.
No, he's too far back, but he's going to put Dennis Jordan off on the exit of Lake Coombe, and there might be an opportunity down into the right-hander. Feidek's still giving pressure to Dennis Jordan. He wants to get through. He knows he's got a race-winning car underneath him. But the trouble is, he's been compromised by strategy. He had to react to Risto Capit. He was losing too much time with a lack of grip. And I now think he's not really going to be in the best position to go for the victory. Baldi and Roland collide! Baldi and Roland come together in Lake Coombe.
That's bad news for Nick Roland and Gergo Baldi, of course, because they've had a collision. But what actually happened, they were coming into Lake Coombe there. Roland was on the inside, Baldi on the outside, and it just, oh dearie, it looked like Roland.
Oh, no, Baldi turning into the side of Rudy Van Buren.
Oh, no.
So Van Buren is getting himself compromised. He's already got damage. He does not need to be getting into a fight with Baldi. Rudy Van Buren goes into the back of Gergo Baldi's car and pitches the Valdes Automotive in exactly the same place that Michael Schumacher went into the back of David Coulthard in Spa 98. Van Buren clips the back of Baldi completely unintentionally because Baldi's car was snaking around all over the place, and Van Buren just clouted the back of Baldi. Baldi is out of the race. Now, is Rudy Van Buren going to get a penalty for that? Surely not.
Yeah, Baldy out, but yeah, he was snaking around. I think Baldy had just lost it into Roland before, and that is the thing. But here's the question. I'm looking at the telemetry here. Why didn't Van Buren lift when he saw that Baldy was there? Surely he could have lifted off and maybe not made contact, but he had his foot fully down on the throttle. I would have, if it were me, I would have lifted off if the car ahead's not stable.
Well, if that's the case, then there's a very good argument to suggest that Van Buren would get a penalty for that. And that is going to be even more dramatic for Pitts from 8th position.
I think he must have thought that Baldy was going to save it, but he didn't. But why wouldn't you even lift slightly? He wasn't fully on coming out of the corner, but when he could get fully on, he went fully on. But if the car ahead of you is shaking, why be full on the throttle?
Was that complacency, do we think, from Rudy Van Buren? Did he just think, well, my race is going lucky enough already, maybe it's just going to come together for me? And he ended up putting, no, there's no two ways about it, he ended up taking Gergo Baldi out of the race completely unintentionally.
Yeah, I've just seen in the comments actually again, and I'm saying QRVB storming to Baldi's box, and then Rudy's younger brother coming second. Well, Bristol Cabot is going to win the race at the look of it.
Yeah, it's looking good, isn't it? And oh, we got a spin in the final turn. That's Michael Ayres. Michael Ayres in La Source has spun it. Well, what was looking like it could be a race win potentially at one point for Michael Ayres is now turning into a bit of an issue. He's in 15th position, looking likely to be the last man home in the points ahead of Sven de Vries, who is still going and still keeping it in there. But wow, that all escalated very quickly, didn't it?
Well, I tell you this is going to be an interesting rest of the race to share. We've had controversy, we've had clashes, we have rain, we've had wet tyres, dry tyres, no dry tyres. Everyone brought all 3 softest compounds to the race and did not use them. But, well, I tell you, this has been about as wet as Newcastle on a rainy day, that much of certain. And, well, there's been no disruption to the racing. That has been full on. It has been a fantastic race so far, and we're still only 55% of the way through.
Well, the stream is currently playing devil's advocate. Nero Tiberius writes, remember, there is a lot of spray. He probably thought Baldi was just squiggly and would be okay. Daniele Brambilla writes, visibility has dropped down hard with this rainstorm. He doesn't think it was Rudy's fault. I don't think it's Rudy's fault either, but that is not the issue here. At the end of the day, Rudy Van Buren has taken Gergo Baldi out of the race, whether he intended to or not. He has made contact with Gergo Baldi and ended his race. Now, in anybody's book, whether you meant to do it or not, and I know for a fact that Rudy Van Buren did not intentionally take Gergo Baldi out of this race, whether you mean to do it or not, the fact of the matter is he rammed Gergo Baldi's car and ruined his race. So race control has to take that into some sort of consideration.
There'll be a long, drawn-out stewards inquiry, I think, after this. I think Chris Williamson and all the Super League, all the disciplinary committee's members are going to be dragged into a dark room with 15 litres of coffee and told not to come out until they've sorted everything.
Right, the next battle on track is going to be for 3rd. Siebel, Jordan and Fidek. Jordan and Fidek have been closing up quite a lot now on Alex Siebel. They are 19 seconds off the lead. David Fidek was in contention to win this about 10 minutes ago, and now he is struggling even to look for a place on the podium. So a really difficult situation. A good argument, actually, from Daniele Brambilla. He says, the fact is, Gergo would have lost it anyways. That is a good point, and I think that is also what race control is going to take into consideration.
Well, it's an interesting one for sure. I'm not completely convinced that staying full on the throttle was the best idea Rudy could have done. I mean, I respect the guy as much as anybody else, but, you know, we all make mistakes. Yeah, we all make misjudgments. Yeah. But
Ryan Nash writes, I don't think Rudy had enough time to react. Lack of grip levels would have still put him into Baldi. He's got a good point there as well. This is this Spa-Francorchamps circuit in the wet. You have a split second to react, and even Rudy Van Buren, as good as he's been this year, is not going to get it right every time. In a race where he's trying to survive, in a race full of attrition, where he's trying to move his way forward, and he hadn't put a wheel wrong really up to that point. He got the strategy call wrong, but in terms of his driving, he had not really put a wheel wrong, although of course Lucas Euler would disagree, as Alex Siebel does indeed pit from 3rd position. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting debate, and I would not like to be Chris Williamson in race control, because either way he decides to call it, it will be wrong in the mind of somebody else.
Well, you can't please everybody. In fact, well, I think it's actually the forum signature of our very own Will Panisi, the league admin. The best way, I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everyone.
So David Fidek is now right on the back of Dennis Jordan as they scrap out of Eau Rouge and down the Kemmel Straight for 3rd position. Magnetic Bull says the fact is he would have lost it anyways. It's not possible to prove it, but at least he wouldn't have lost it as bad. He doesn't think Rudy Van Buren should get the penalty.
Well, this is why we have a disciplinary committee who can decide for sure.
Yeah, and
then, of course, we got Phil Morby saying, why did he not give the place back?
Yes, indeed. And Daniel Brambilla says some race directors close an eye in race conditions, some others become more strict. So that's another thing we'll take into account. Right, Dennis Jordan in 3rd position in front of David Fidek. Siebel has rejoined after his pit stop in 5th place ahead of Bart de Vos. Fournier is now 7th. Rudy Van Buren is 8th. How is he still driving that thing in a straight line? David Frančić in 9th position. Jubenek is 10th. Euler has climbed up to 11th after all of that shenanigans. Roland is now down to 12th as a result of it. Cooper is 13th. Morris has just pitted and is back down to 14th. Michael Ayers is 15th and struggling. Sven de Vries even more so in 16th place. But Risto Capit, 11.5 seconds clear, is looking good for his first win of 2017. And we're only just past half distance.
Only just past half distance indeed. And if it wasn't exciting before, what's the second half of the race going to bring? It's going to bring a battle between Fidek and Jordan, I think, definitely. At some point, these two are going to come together and have a battle. In fact, Fidek, he's not going to go for an Interblanchiment. Of course, he's been close, but he's just about getting enough of a drive out. Oh, now he could go for it into the bus stop. Look at the run he's got on Jordan into the final 2 turns. Round the outside, Dennis Jordan can't even compete. Fidek just slices through. And Jordan comes in the pits, that's why.
Yeah, textbook from David Fidek. He just read the situation. He thought it's been going so long on those tyres. Maybe I've got a chance to outfox him, and he does beautifully. But well picked up by Ryan Nash. Both of the Adonis engineering drivers, Dennis Jordan and Alex Siebel, having an awesome drive, and they really are doing so, to be fair. So it's a really tough performance. Andreas Wouters, of course, has decided to defend his driver, Gergo Baldi. Gergo is not a driver that just loses it on his own. Well, yes, but this is Spa. He did go wide, and it was very wet on the curb. I lost it in the dry on that curb. It's very, very tough to get it right in the best of conditions. In the wet, it will be like balancing on a tightrope blindfolded with ice cubes strapped to your shoes. It will be so difficult. And how he managed to keep it in a straight line for as long as he did is pretty impressive. Let's get off that topic for the moment, though. Rudy Van Buren in 8th position, chasing after Jeff Fournier. Dennis Jordan has made his pit stop and has rejoined just in behind Bart de Vos. So the Adonis cars still 4th and 6th at the moment, but there's still some big names, Josh, outside the top 10. Lucas Euler, Lee Morris, Alex Cooper.
Who's just pitted, actually, funny enough. You say that, Alex Cooper, having just come into the pits, of course, staying on the wet tyres. That shouldn't even be in doubt anymore. It's pretty much wet tyres or skis. That's your choice here at Spa-Francorchamps at the moment. But, yeah, really, it's just the optimum tyre. And from now on, it's just going to be a case of looking for on-track battles rather than who's doing what in the pits.
Yeah, everybody's going to be on wet tyres without any shadow of a doubt. Going to be about getting the tyres to last as long as possible, minimising how many more you come into the pits. I sense there's going to be 2 more pit stops from the leaders. Risto Capit goes through another time to end at lap 27. That means there's 17 to go. And I have a feeling there's going to be 2 more pit stops for the leaders, Capit, Tyen and Fidek, with Siebel looking good for either 3rd or 4th at this point in the race proceedings. So Adonis could even pick up a podium here over David Fidek.
Yeah, we talk about podiums and race wins. I think Van Buren really out of the race win at the moment, to be honest with you. Just been messaged by my pit and saying Rudy's got even more damage from the Baldy incident. So that's going to hamper his pace even further. I think really going to be the firm number 2 to Capit in this instance now. And if any Vodbol's going to win, it will be the brilliant Estonian. But then again, there is still a lot of this race left to go as Bart de Vos pits. So don't count any of this top 5 out yet.
Very true. Rudy Van Buren's pace is currently in the 209.5s compared to Capit on 209.2. So that last big hit from Gergo Baldi has definitely caused some handling problems in the second of the Vodbols. So Rudy Van Buren struggling at the moment and no major surprises there. But having said that, he's just passed Bart de Vos to move up into 7th position behind Jeff Fournier. Capit's lead over Jarl Tyen is now 15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds the gap is now to Tyne, and JT will be thinking, maybe he's just out of reach now. I should probably consolidate second. But he knows there is still a lot of this race left to go too. So he'll be having Capit in his mind here, but, you know, not necessarily actively fighting him. Maybe going to do his own race here. Start fighting the track instead of the driver and just get back on course for the race win.
One guy I've got to feel sorry for at this point in the race is Michael Ayres. Essentially, top 6 finish in the early point of the 5 to 10 minutes or so, his race has deteriorated. He's had to make an extra pit stop and has rejoined behind Sven de Vries even, who was a long, long way back. So Michael Ayres doing exactly what he should be doing at this point, which is just keeping going. If he's only going to be a lap behind Risto Capit, then he'll score a point if one more driver in front of him falls off the road. Wow, Dennis Jordan has just gone purple in the first sector on a 34.5.
Well, Dennis Jordan's not done yet, is he? He's chasing down. As I said, don't count any of the top 5 out. And Jordan proving that as Capit comes into the pits from P1. Jarl Tyne, I assume, will get close to the race lead, if not take it here. As Risto Capit does pull into the pit stops, he's going to find his mark now. Does come in. Tyne should get through. Capit leaves his box, and I think it's going to be touch and go, actually, between the two of them. He's got the advantage coming round the first turn, and it's going to be so close. Risto by a second or so.
Oh, that's really impressive from Risto Capit. He pits in, so does David Fidek, but Capit pits in and rejoins with the lead still intact. Now, by my mathematics, Risto Capit is going to pit again at the end of lap 36, and that will be his last pit stop on what is likely to be a race-winning drive. But David Fidek rejoins again behind the two Adonises of Alex Siebel and Dennis Jordan. Fidek rejoins in 5th position, only a couple of seconds up the road from Jeff Fournier. Van Buren pits on the same lap as Risto Capit. He is looking for 6th position at the most. But to be perfectly honest, I don't actually see Rudy Van Buren finishing higher than 8th.
This is not a sort of race he's used to, is it? He's not used to being this far down the order and not being able to make it back up. He's not used to having damage, I'll say that. But he won't be happy about this. We know how much he loves winning, and we know how much he likes to succeed, and being down in 9th is not going to help him. It's championship-wise, it doesn't make a shred of difference. He's miles ahead of everyone else. But it's crucially, it's a chink in the armour.
Yeah, it's the black spot of the season, isn't it, now for Rudy Van Buren? Going to win this race in a month of Sundays. And to be fair, other than Sochi, when he had that disconnection, when he was leading, he has yet to finish a race lower than 2nd this year. So this is going to come very hard for him indeed to take. And he's going to want to forget this race in a hurry, finishing in 9th place. But of course, he's got to keep pedaling round. He's got to bring it home in the points, because let's just say he has 4 or 5 more races like this, and it's his teammate Risto Capit who keeps winning. There's a chance he can only win the championship by a point or 2. And that 9th position, 10th position is what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, I tell you this though, it says a lot about Van Buren as a driver when he's going to finish outside of the top 2, and it took a reverse grid, took a back of the grid penalty, carnage on the first few laps, damage for him, and a wrong strategy call to cause that to happen.
And he's still in 8th place.
And he's still, it says a lot about him as a driver, doesn't it?
And he just overtook Francic on merit with knackered suspension. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing.
It's direct proof that if you're going to put Rudy Van Buren down, you'll need to throw everything, kitchen sink included, at him.
And what it has given to us has been an absolutely amazing finish to, well, what is it? Well, it's going to provide an amazing finish to the Belgian Grand Prix. When you consider, Rudy Van Buren still tank slapping as he comes through the flat-out left-hander at the end of the lap. But yet he manages to keep it together. Alex Siebel and Dennis Jordan tightening up again for 3rd position. But they are both closing in on Sven de Vries to lap him. David Fidek in 5th place. Fournier 6th from De Vos. Van Buren, Zipanek, and David Francic now pitting. Lucas Euler is in the pits as well. So Roland is going to pass them both. So too is Lee Morris. So Roland and Morris are going to move up into 10th and 11th positions respectively from Francic and Euler. Cooper in 14th. Michael Ayres is back into 15th position. Sven de Vries has obviously just made a pit stop. And de Vries is down into 16th again. But Risto Capit's lead over Jarl Tyne after the pit stops, 8.7. So Tyne did make up some ground on Risto Capit. Well, no, sorry, Tyne hasn't pitted yet, has he? So Capit has made the pit stop. Tyne has yet to pit. So I wonder, is Jarl Tyne going to try and do this on one more pit stop? Because if he does, he's not going to win, but he might secure second place by doing so.
That'll be a bit of a relief to Mike Pittman, who's just joined us, of course. Hello, Mike. Great to have you back with us once again. And, well, Bristol leading by 11 seconds. Rudy getting even more damage, but still duking it out. Rudy Van Buren, though, he's 8th place after all this. He's pretty much the only thing that's going to stop him is a touch of... It's going to be an act of God, isn't it?
To be fair, he's really struggling now. It's still suspension issues. We've got 15 kph less on the straights. He just can't get the speed going anymore. Whereas Risto is speeding away. So there's a massive difference in that way. We couldn't even catch up to the Red Archers on a straight line, and they use our engines. So Tyne's in, by the way.
But Mike, Tyne is in the pits. But Mike, we've just been told on the stream by several people.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but y'all Tyne's on Inters.
Yeah, I was just going to say, your Tyne has gone for Inters because it stopped raining. So what does that do for your strategy now? Do you just consolidate with Risto in the lead on wets, knowing that he's comfortable on wet tyres? Or is there a genuine chance that Jarl Tyne changing to Inters might change things a little bit for you guys?
We'll look at it and see how it works. But having looked at it, it could get rain again. We'll see where we're at. We've still got a nice window. We've got another pit stop to come, so we can make a decision at that point. Realistically, in the time frame, even on his fresh rubber, he's going to have to get an awful lot per lap. It's stopped raining, but I don't think it's at the drying percentage yet. They've got a nice window, these wets. You can.
But a couple of drivers now going for Inters. Fastest lap of the race on a 206.2, so the wets are clearly still working for him. But what must have been a bit of a comfort for you, Mike, was at the last pit stop when Risto pitted and came out again ahead of Jarl Tyne, who was already in second position. So that must have given you a lot of comfort.
Yeah, that was close, and that's what we needed to do, was to clear him, because that made a big difference. We didn't know exactly when he was going to pit. If we'd been stuck behind him for a few laps, that could have really ruined us a little bit. But no, we're quite happy. We're now in the stage where we can run our own race. And obviously the FIDIC sort of been taken out of the equation a little bit as well. So unless Inters is the only thing that could really mess us, I think, at this stage.
And of course, that's what we're about to find out if it will. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Cheers, bye.
So Risto Capit leading the way, 27 seconds ahead of Siebel, Jordan, FIDIC, Jarl Tyne. All of that crowd, but that is because, of course, that Jarl Tyne has decided to go for intermediates, but he has dropped behind David FIDIC in the proceedings of doing so, but he is giving him a bit of a run now.
Yeah, a bit of a run being given here. And, well, this could be an interesting one. Tyne versus FIDIC. Round the outside, attempts to go Jarl Tyne, but it doesn't quite work out. David FIDIC.
Oh, he's lost it!
Oh, dear. Well, maybe not in this time just yet, then, Jarl, is it? He's not going to come into the pits. He's going to stay out.
And that's the win gone. That's the win gone.
Yeah, you feel like it might be with 30% of the race to go. If not gone, very severely dampened for Tyne. His chances. FIDIC goes into third, Jordan second, Cabot first, of course, still. But now is the critical point, really, I feel, for anyone who wants to switch to winners.
Well, it's difficult because from Cabot's point of view, he's still lapping in the 206s. He just set the fastest lap of the race at 206.2. There's no reason for Risto to switch to wet tyres yet. He's only going to have to wait until he drops into the 208s, realistically, before it becomes a problem, because he's 35 seconds clear of Jarl Tyne, who, with that spin, has cost himself a good 7 seconds. So Jarl Tyne is realistically the only driver who can beat him in this race, let's be fair. And from Risto Cabot's point of view, he doesn't need to switch to the intermediate tyres until it's absolutely necessary. And right now, or even though, as Ryan Nash points out, Sector 1 is pretty much bone dry, Inters is not an option for Risto Capit right now. Why go for a gamble when your main rival has and it hasn't worked? He just needs to keep pounding around on wets. He may never change for Inters.
Yeah, Nick Rowland has, though. He's come in, maybe the guinea pig for Morris to try and see if more points can be gained. I think from 14th, that's probably the right call to make if you are going to test them out. Same with Euler for Cooper, perhaps. And, well, Cooper's not still on the wets. They're still doing testing, you know. This is effectively still testing. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Van Buren come in and test for Cabot and then maybe come in again and go back to wets if it didn't work. But, you know, Risto, from his current position, it would be mad for him to change.
It really would. Jupanek has just clouted the pit wall on his way out of the pit.
Oh, no.
Now, that's a bit of an issue because that could obviously damage the suspension. Dennis Jordan is currently second, right in front of David FIDIC. What's happened to Alex Siebel?
That's a good question.
Siebel's dropped to 7th.
I think that was, yeah, Siebel was 3rd, and then he was 7th. I think that may have been after the pit stop, because he came in, obviously, before. But, yeah, what actually did happen to Siebel? I'm going to go back a couple of seconds and see if I can find out. No, I think that was after the pit stop. I could have sworn one of the Adonises came out on Inters, and Siebel must have come back in again if it didn't work. I don't know, but he's on wets now by the looks of it. As Michael Ayres has had an incident in the pit lane, perhaps.
Right, Jarl Tyne has just set the fastest lap, a 2:05.432. He's been purple in all sectors, so it is the perfect time for intermediates. Jarl Tyne has just set the fastest lap, a 2:05.
Oh, yeah,
that's a second quicker than Risto Capit.
I can see a dry line forming now, or at least beginning to. Now might be the critical point.
So maybe Jarl Tyne, although he had that spin into the bus stop, maybe he might be able to make a bit of a dent into Risto Capit's race. The thing is, of course, the intermediates are not going to last as long as the wets, so he will need to make another pit stop, but it's Risto Capit second guessing whether he needs to make that pit stop, that switch to change tyres or not, that could make the difference.
Morrison from P11 now. He drops down the order a little bit.
I bet he's going inters. I bet he's going intermediates.
Yep, you are bet is right. Cash back for Sanson goes in. Obviously, Roland's feedback is saying go on to winners, man. It's the right thing to do. And now look at this. Alex Cooper comes in as well. I imagine Cooper's going on to winners.
Inters. Here we go. Everybody's going to make the switch.
Everybody
double lefting. But that's it. Well, Jarl Tyne's fastest lap of the race. That's convinced everybody. Boom. It's time to change, because you can, if you just manage to stay on the line, you'll go faster. So Jarl Tyne is chipping away. The gap comes down to 34 seconds. It was 37 seconds a lap ago. So Jarl Tyne is chipping away at that advantage. But Risto Capit is still fast in the wet tyres, but a 1/10 of a second quicker in the first sector for Jarl Tyne, his personal best, and 7/10 of a second quicker than Capit in the second sector. So this is just a matter of time now before Risto Capit and Vodbull decide to make the switch. Fidek is wobbling big style as he loses ground. Now this is Jarl Tyne's opportunity. He's got to get back past David Fidek. He's got to make the overtake. This is where he can win and lose the race.
This is the issue, though. Even if he gets past Fidek, he's going to make 2.5 seconds a lap on Capit. There's 12 to go, and he's 33 behind. I don't think, even on the Inters, that's doable.
Well, it's whether Risto Capit will make a mistake by staying out too long on the wet.
Yeah, but
that's where this race will be won.
That's the thing, Jake. Risto Capit basically doesn't make mistakes.
No, indeed. Fidek holding the line. Tyne is quicker on the drying line through Eau Rouge. Get him on Camels. He will make mincemeat of the reigning champion, but he has to come off the dry line to make the move. That's going to compromise him. Here we go, side by side. Jarl Tyne on the Camel Straight makes the move on David Fidek. Fidek will to resist as much as possible, but Tyne is there. But he's gone off. He's run wide trying to do so. But Fidek is going to try and come back around the outside. Tyne gets his foot back in. Fidek keeps his foot stuck in. Tyne's going to go wide, and he takes the placement. Fidek's still trying to come back at him. Jarl Tyne slots himself back onto the dry line. Well done, Jarl Tyne. That move was make or break for this race.
It was a crucial one. The aquaplane's going into the coombe there, but he managed to make it 6 somehow. I don't think David Fidek is too bothered, because he knows if Tyne slips up, he'll be there to get it. And David Fidek would be happy with the podium, because he's been very consistent in that sort of...
Capit needs to pit. Capit needs to pit. He's just done a 58-second second sector. He's got to pit. He's losing 2 seconds a lap to those on intermediates in the middle sector, particularly Alex Cooper, who's just done a 56.4. Capit's done a 58.
Is he though? Because Morris's last was the 58.2. That's the thing. It's not consistent. Roland's last was the 58.9. Euler's was the 58.7. It just seems to be Cooper who got a good sector.
So Capit's, oh yeah, you're right. Capit's just done a 2:06.3 on the wet tyres, so he's still able to come offline slightly and make those tyres work for him. So you're right. Michael Ayres out of the race.
And remember that Tyne is 34 seconds back. Tyne has to get 2 seconds a lap minimum out of Capit for him to win this race. He'll be looking to get 3 for a comfort.
Yeah, Michael Ayres retires from the race with a missing rear wing. So Risto Capit, at the moment, Mike Pittman is just recommending to him just come off the line a little bit on the Camel Straight. Places like that, you'll still have a good enough car to run it with. Jarl Tyne does a purple final sector at 32.4. Now, Risto Capit in the first sector does a 34.5. That was quicker than Jarl Tyne, but don't forget that Jarl Tyne actually had to deal with a wayward David Fidek in that first sector on the previous lap. 48 pits. Capit's a 34.5 in the first sector. What is Jarl Tyne in the first sector? We're about to find out how much quicker he is as he comes to the end of the first sector.
Van Buren into.
Van Buren comes in. Surely he's going to go for intermediates at the same time as a test bed for his teammate. Now, interestingly, Jarl Tyen was slower than Capit on that first sector, so it's not worth making the gamble yet for Capit.
Yeah, Tyen, obviously maybe not for Capit, I guess. Van Buren onto Winters, though, as you said, Fournier onto Winters. If I was just Capit, I'd just get to the end of the set. I'd just get to the end on wet, you know. I would just go for it. I think just try and play it safe. And, well, Jarl Tyen, he's the one who's got to win this now. Capit can just go around for the rest of the race, 10 laps, and he's probably won it. Because now it's 10 laps, 33 seconds, 3.5 seconds a lap.
Oh, my goodness. Alex Cooper just did a 2-minute 2.667.
Oh, is that car powered by magic or what?
No, that's just how much time he's making on the intermediates. Alex Cooper is going 4 seconds a lap faster than the leaders.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing. As blooming good as Alex Cooper is as a driver, he's not of any concern to Risto Capit.
No, he's a minute and 40 back. All he's going to be worried about
is Jarl Tyen.
Yeah, he's a minute and 40 back. He wants the fastest lap from this race. Don't get anything else. Morris and Rowland up the road in front of him are desperate to bring both cars home in the points for Madcape because they are in a vulnerable position in the Constructors' Championship. We haven't really spoken too much about the Constructors' Championship, but it's crucial at this point in the season. Lee Morris is in the fight for the best of the rest in terms of the Drivers' Championship. Rowland has struggled to finish in the points. It's critical that Madcape start bringing both cars home in the points wherever possible. Just look at the Valters cars. Jarl Tyen is currently second and Gergo Baldi out of the race. And you've got to look at the Hawkeyes. They are way down.
I said Jarl Tyen needs to make 3 seconds a lap.
He's doing it.
Let's compare the last 2 laps. 2.64 from Capit.
He's doing it.
2.36 from Tyen. Just off, but the potential is there.
Right, this is a problem now because it's a guessing game. Do you switch to inters? Do you stay on wets? And it's all going to come down to Rudy Van Buren.
Yeah, I've been watching Alex Cooper though, and he's squiggly in places now. I think push for that one lap. Tyen looks a lot less consistent than Capit. That's the thing. If Risto Capit goes onto the inters, he'll have less squip when he goes offline, and he'll have to go maximum attack for the rest of the race. And I don't think he wants that. I think he wants to cruise. I think he wants to play it safe, get to the end, and not have to worry about things. I think he'd rather lose time on the wets and not have to worry about charging for the win than go on the inters and worry about going maximum attack. I think it's a fair strategy myself.
I think you're right, Josh. I think this is going to be Capit staying on wets to the end just to make sure he can get the job done. Now, in terms of the pit stop strategy, my calculations were that Risto Capit would come into the pits for his final stop at the end of lap 36. Zabanik is out. Right, and this is lap 36, so surely this is going to be... Now, how did Zupanek do it? In the final chicane.
It was a spin and then into the wall.
Into the final chicane. And, yeah, he lost the car. Up and over the curbs. He just lost it into the barrier. And Risto Capit has pitted. Risto Capit has pitted now. Exactly as I predicted. Now, the question is, with Jarl Tyen going 2 seconds faster than him on the second sector alone, what's he going to do? Inters. He's got it. Right.
He's jumped. Well, I was wrong then. He obviously wants to take the risk, Risto Capit, and now, well, we'll see if that pays off. I would have stayed wet, but obviously Risto thinks he knows what he's doing. Rudy Sweetman will come into that. Now it's a straight fight.
Yeah, it is, but Jarl Tyen has got to make another stop. So surely Risto Capit has just bought himself a victory.
Goes a bit wide, locks up into the first turn.
I think Capit's bought himself the victory by going on to inters. He's to cover Jarl Tyen. Tyen will have to pit one more time at least.
Jordan in, and this will be for us too by the looks of it. But interestingly, we got Fran Lopez in the comments saying Slicks will be the quickest in lap 38. Well, interesting.
That's mental. That's an absolutely mental suggestion. But Fran Lopez is one of the best drivers at the moment. Fastest gamer. So maybe he knows something that we don't. He is, of course, an Adonis Engineering driver usually. I'm imagining the reason he's missed this race is because he's been doing WFG, which is to each his own, but you've missed an absolute cracker, Fran. You could have won this one. Risto Capit leading the way by just 12 seconds to Jarl Tyen, but I think that's academic because Jarl Tyen has got to make another pit stop.
Yeah, perhaps so. We've actually got a question. We have a question to answer ourselves. Usually it just gets asking the questions, Jake, but Magnetic Ball in the comments, why is going on inters a risk? Well, thing is, you're going to have less grip because they're not supposed to displace as much water. So if you go off the dry line, you're going to have a lot less grip than you were on the wet tyres. Obviously, Bristol Cabot thinks he can deal with that. Then you got the likes of Alex Siebel who don't. That's why they're still staying on the wet tyres. So it's a lot down to personal preference and strategy, but there is risk involved. And then, look, we got a couple of opinions as well. Fran Lopez saying y'all will go for 6 in a couple of laps and he's win. Well, I'd be surprised if he does. And then obviously Tom Parker as well. If y'all makes these tyres last and then something unbroadcastable, but I'd quite like it to happen.
It's a good point because, yeah, it's not a risk in terms of it being the fastest tyre because there's no question that the intermediate is now the fastest. But if you watch any of the drivers going round at the moment, look at how thin that dry line is. That is your margin of error. You can't really afford to come off that racing line if you want to be particularly quick, because even on intermediates, if you come off the racing line, there's still a lot of standing water and it's full wet off the racing line. As Tyan pits from second.
Tyan does pit, but is he as mad as Tom Parker suggests? I don't think he is. I think this will be continuing on. No, Siebel on the Inters. Siebel comes in now. This will be for Inters because you'll see everyone else around him thinking, I've got to get on these Inters too. Tyan comes out on the Inters and, well, obviously Tom Parker, not quite right in this sense, but it was a good guess, Tom.
Fider goes through into third position ahead of Alex Siebel. Fournier goes past as well in fourth position. Bar de Vos goes past as well, as does Dennis Jordan. What a disaster this has been for the Adonis cars. They were battling for the podium.
This is not working for Cabot. His last lap, I don't know whether because he just pitted or not, but his last lap was a 2:14, so he must have pitted. And look at the time that has been gained, and that time, 16.6 seconds, although it's gone back up to 29 now. So maybe that's just me being a bit of a plonker, but yeah, Tyan looks to be closing in, but not quickly enough.
Well, Tyan just made the pit stop, didn't he? So Tyan has just come into the pits, as too has Fidek. So that's why the gap has come up to 29 seconds again. But Risto Kappa has responded with a fastest first sector of the race, 33.558. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, is now Jeff Fournier. He's just done a 2:02.205. Capit purple in the second sector. Good
This is going to be the fastest. This will be the fastest. Fastest in 1, fastest in 2. I expect to see that fastest lap light up with a certain Estonian flag very soon.
It'll be a 2:01 this time, I think, from Capit. He has got at the time. This is now his race. One hand on the trophy. Jarl Tyan is half a minute back. He will have fresher tyres than Capit, but only by a lap. It's not going to be enough. Risto Capit is going to win this race by as near as makes no difference, half a minute. He comes across the line. His previous best time was a 2:06. He's done a 2:02.
I thought it would be quicker than a 2:01, but not that. Risto Capit, more like Risto Bolt.
Oh my goodness. Risto Capit has just done a 2-minute dead.
Was quick.
Risto Capit just did a 2-minute dead on intermediate tyres.
And you know what the funny thing is? Jarl Tyan just eclipsed his best sector.
Yeah, he wasn't even the fastest in the second sector. Risto Capit does a 2:02. I wonder.
Purple sector 3.
Yeah, the race is still on. We're going to be in the 1:58s before this race is done.
Sector 1, they're both racing each other to oblivion.
Yeah, they're going to push it right the way to the death. Jarl Tyan gets the gap down to 28.8, but look at how many laps we've got left. 6. It's not enough. Oh, Capit struggling in the braking zone there for the right-hander. That's the kind of mistake he can't afford.
That's the thing. Herein lies the issue. Risto Capit has got to lose, as near as makes no difference, to 6.545 seconds a lap. So that's a mistake every lap. I don't think he's going to make a mistake every lap unless Tyan suddenly equips a jet to the back of his car and flies round.
Well, let's get the difference there. They both did their fastest first sector that time by. Jarl Tyan did a 33.8. That's his personal best. Capit just did his personal best. It was a 33.3. Half a second quicker.
Yeah, he really is just he's hit the afterburner here as Risto Capit. He's just gone absolutely sensational. Bad sector 2 though. Not his fastest, a 55.2. That's not as good for him. Tyan's still potentially on for fastest lap if he can go quick.
So Rudy Van Buren's best lap was the last time around, a 2:02.0. Risto Capit needs to commit this to memory. There's not going to be many times this season when he's 2 seconds a lap quicker than his team leader. That is an absolutely amazing achievement for Capit. He got a bit of a sour second sector, but that's not a problem. He's got 5 laps to go. He comes through on a 2 minutes 3.47, 2 minutes dead 0.347. Risto Capit, large and in charge right now.
Yeah, very large, very in charge, and very the one who's not margarine. He's the full fat Lurpak right here. The real deal and the potential race winner in a few laps' time.
So let's talk our way through this race, because it looks as though we are now pretty done and dusted in terms of the positions. Although third position is still very much up for grabs. David Fidek has got Jeff Fournier breathing down his neck. That could be an interesting battle for the final position on the podium. Risto Capit leads Jarl Tyen by 29.1 seconds, trading personal sector bests at the moment on the intermediate tyres as the track slowly dries out. David Fidek in third from Jeff Fournier in fourth, and those two are battling for position. Bart de Vos is fifth and Dennis Jordan is sixth, and those two are battling each other for position. Alex Siebel is a few seconds down the road in seventh. Rudy Van Buren is in eighth with damaged suspension after starting last and getting into incidents, first with Lucas Euler and then with Gergo Baldi. He is now down in eighth position. Nick Rowland is ninth. David Francic in 10th and being caught rapidly by Lucas Euler. Lee Morris had an incident in the first lap and dropped to last place. He's now made it up to 12th. Alex Cooper is 13th and actually having to come off the dry line to cool the tyres down at the moment. And Sven de Vries is a lap down in 14th. Those are the only runners left in the race as Euler and Francic go to battle over 10th position. Lucas Euler is going for it. Roland is in the pits, and Lucas Euler, former double champion, is going to try and make the move on the inside at La Source. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's Lucas Euler.
Oh, is it though? Is it though? Because Francic is still defending. Not now. Lucas Euler's got to get the better drive, and that really is the mark of a double world champion. Great one by Euler to go through there. Well played indeed. No problems whatsoever getting through, and that is how you show that you're double world champion. Just go straight through. Yeah, a real shame that Lucas Euler wasn't more of a factor, to be fair, because in terms of the pace, he had what it took to win this race. But unfortunately, he just kind of had a bit of brain fade in that early part of the race when he was battling with the leader of the championship this year, Rudy Van Buren, as they battled away in the early part of the lap. He was really struggling to cope with the fact that the championship leader was coming past him, and he looked a little bit weak in that section. That's not the Lucas Euler I know. Yeah, he's just really not quite, acclimatized again this race. He loves Spa. We know how much he loves Spa, but again, these conditions can throw anyone off. And I guess for Risto Kappa, he's on lap 41 and 44. Maybe not even going to get 44 laps through because we're on lap 91% through the race. Risto will just be dialing it back now. He can lose 7 seconds a lap to Jarl Tyen and still win this race. There's no pressure on the Estonian shoulders now. He could cruise around and he could still win.
A certain Will Panisi is watching the stream. I'm hoping he's been entertained as much as must be rubbing his hands with glee at the moment. We've got a real show here this evening. Risto Capit, 28.9 seconds ahead of Jarl Tyen. He could lose 4 seconds a lap now and still win this race. He's got himself absolutely in the neat and tidy position. Everyone's on intermediates. They're going to run on them to the flag, although if it's drying as quickly as Fran Lopez says it is, those last 2 or 3 laps could be a bit hairy.
Could be, yeah, potentially. So it's going to be about being careful and being conservative on your tyres, and I think Risto Capit's got that down to the absolute word, never mind the letter. But could be interesting last couple of laps, certainly, I think. Going to be an interesting eye out to see what goes on, of course. Van Buren still down in 8th, not going to get through here. Honest, again, same with Euler. Really is the Capit show today, and that's the first time we've said that it's been the Risto Capit show, because we've always said it's been the Van Buren show. A Vodbull is going to win. It's just not going to be the one you would expect.
We're not going to have a 1:59 lap now because the tyres have fallen away to at least a second off their best in the final couple of laps of this race. 3 to go for Risto Capit. He comes through on a 2:01.0, which is 0.8 of a second off the fastest lap of the race, set by Risto from 19th on the grid. He's looking to win this one. That's even better than Michael Schumacher managed here at Spa in 1995 in very similar conditions. Risto Capit leads the way from Jarl Tyen, 28 seconds back. Fidek is now very much in the wars with Jeff Fournier on his tail, so he's got to continue up that pressure. Although now actually in the last lap or so, Fidek has started to drop the hammer and get away from Fournier. Jordan has still got Bart de Vos, only 0.6 of a second behind him, so 5th could change hands. Siebel in 7th. Rudy Van Buren, somehow his car still looks car-shaped in 8th position. Lucas Euler 9th from Morris, Francic, Cooper, Roland, and Sven de Vries.
Yeah, what a race this has been for certain. It's been up, it's been down. I've never quite known what's going to happen.
Sorry, Jarl Tyen has just done the first 1:59 lap. He's done a 1:59.5 from Jarl Tyen.
It has, and that is astonishing. But, and this is the only time I'll ever hear me say he's done a 59, but it is too little too late. I can tell you that now, short of a disaster for Capit.
Yeah, he's worked so hard and he's done an absolutely cracking job to get there, but it hasn't quite been perfect. So it's a difficult one for Jarl Tyen because he had the opportunity, he had the pace to win this race, he had everything he needed, but you just can't beat Vodbull when they're on their A game. But what a lovely sight it is to see that it's Risto Capit who's taken full advantage of it this time, as opposed to his championship leading, dominating teammate, Rudy Van Buren, who is not going to finish higher than 8th position, barring problems for anyone in front of him. But this is going to be a very sweet moment for Risto Capit. And I think, to be fair, as much as it's been quite common to see a Vodbull dominate proceedings in the 2017 season, I think everybody in the paddock is going to be delighted to see Risto Capit take the win.
Well, yeah, but a word for Van Buren, a few words for Van Buren here. He has shown just why he's the championship leader in this race. He's overcome every obstacle that's been thrown at him. You know, you've got to credit him for that. He is a sensational driver, and he will be gutted that he's not going to win this race. But at the same time, he will be happy for his teammate, because Van Buren is a team player. You know, he's a great driver, but he also is a team player. He knows in this case that he had to be the #2 driver. Like Michael Schumacher, when he came back, he helped Eddie Irvine to try and win the championship. Even the best understand that they have to play #2 sometimes, and Van Buren has done that. So credit to Van Buren, but Capit really has been the standout star.
And especially when you consider that Van Buren has been off the side of more cars and debris than a pinball. And he's still got a car that looks like a Vodbull in 8th position. And 8th position, let's not steer away from it. He's only 1 second. Oh, he's just done a 2:01.1, his fastest lap of the race. He's less than a second slower than Capit, despite the fact that his car is probably skewed to buggery. Absolutely amazing how far ahead he is. Tyen in 2nd, Videk 3rd from Fournier. Jordan is 5th. De Vos is 6th and trying to catch him. Siebel's catching both of them, I should point out. So 5th position with the Adonises and Bart De Vos is not finished yet. And if they get into the war zone, who's going to pick up places? Rudy Van Buren.
Yeah, more bonus points for Vodbull, and Van Buren, I think he'll be happy to pick up any he can get, to be honest, after this race. But another couple, just looking up and down the field again. Oh, well. We saw someone brave enough to say slicks. There is one. Sven de Vries from 14th, nothing to lose, going on the ultras. Good on you, Sven. Good on you, son.
He's in 14th place, 14th position a lap down. But what if he gets the fastest lap on the last lap? Be a nice little bit of tea time for him.
Yeah, it would be a nice little bit of tea time. Tyen goes into the gravel. He's going to lose no. And that really does throw the win under the bus for him as we go on to the last lap with Capit leading us off. But just to go through the grid again, Geoffrey Fournier has had a stunner of the race. The Frenchman with his best Super League result to date. I've got to commend him as well. One of my favourite drivers on the grid. I do like Geoffrey. I do like to see him doing well. And I think he's going to be having talks with Red Archer to make him a permanent fixture after this race, because he's just absolutely brilliantly taken charge of everything that's happened to him this race. I expect to see more Geoffrey Fournier in Super League.
And to be fair, they do need a permanent fixture now that Thomas Hinz is going to miss the rest of the season. When Jarl Tyen went off into the gravel, he did strike the barrier. So it's important to give it up. Oh! Fournier has made a mistake somewhere. Jordan's caught him up. Jordan caught him up. So now Jordan's got a chance to go for 4th place.
I hope I haven't jinxed it there with that. I hope Paul Fournier can hang on now, because this has been a sensational race. And well, for Dennis Jordan, the pivot with the last post will be heartbreaking for the Frenchman. As good as Jordan is, as deserving as he would be for 4th, but you can't really look past Risto Capit for driver of the day, can you? 19th to 1st. That's unprecedented.
David Videk has just set the 2nd lap of the race to duck below 2 minutes, a 1:59.967. This 3rd sector. So good run this from David Videk at the end of the race. Jordan's going for it on Fournier. He will not be denied. Fournier Jordan runs wider than Fournier, keeps the place.
Oh, wow. It has been a good race, hasn't it? It's been a brilliant one. Fournier and Jordan still cracking at it as they go into the first 2 turns, but Risto Capit round the final into Blanchimont now. And, well, it's been a long time since the Estonian Afton played, but he's going to get it.
Cooper lets him go. He does not. This is it. Well, Cooper lets him go. He doesn't want to complete another lap, but Risto Capit, for the first time in 2017, out of the Risto Capit wins the Belgian Grand Prix in Super League in 2017. He will be absolutely delighted. At last, the Estonian has got a victory in 2017. And look at him into the runoff area at La Source. He is doing the donuts. Brilliant display from Risto Capit. He is elated and he's got every reason to be. Now, back to fourth position because this battle is not done. Jarl is going to be second. Feidig is going to be third. But Fournier and Jordan are side by side for P4. They're going for it. Jordan sticks his nose in as they go side by side. One's on the dry line, the other's on the wet. And Jordan's snaking on the way through. But watch out because Siebel's catching both of them. This is going to be a run to the line for them. Jarl is second. Feidig is third. Jordan's going to throw it to the inside of Fournier. They contact. And Fournier's going to keep it.
Siebel! And no, not. Siebel stays behind. Going to be Fournier from John from Siebel. But you couldn't ask for closer than that. Come on.
Well done to Fournier. Fourth position on his return. Jordan fifth, Siebel sixth. De Vos is seventh. Rudy Van Buren plays the team game to come home eighth position. Lucas Euler comes home for ninth place in front of Lee Morris in 10th. David Francic is 11th. Nick Rowland will bring the car home in the points in 12th. Crucial for them to get two cars home in the points, although only 10th and 12th. They will not score more than Wouters today. 13th for Alex Cooper, who is a lap down behind his teammate Lucas Euler, who comes through now to finish in 9th place. It could have been so much more for him. And the last man home, Sven de Vries, did not set the fastest lap of the race. In fact, his final lap was a 3 minutes 20.9 to prove that dries were not the way to go.
Yeah, that was an absolutely bonkers race. At least Sven de Vries proved that dries weren't the way to go. But Risto Capit has not won. He's not won this season in Super League. I'm just going to go to the records, actually.
Is that his first Super League win?
Matthew Arlington asking, I'm going to have to go check.
And the thing, oh yeah, it just says on the stream, yeah, boy! Risto Capit delighted with the victory. The Estonian has driven absolutely supremely today. And let's be fair to him, he has absolutely dominated proceedings in the end of it. He made it look so beautiful. And it looked like he was Rudy Van Buren today, not the other way around. But an absolutely cracking display from Capit to take the win for Vodbull. And that's a very superlative drive from Risto.
Oh, you gotta love him, you really. Risto Capit, what a driver. I've said so many times, haven't I, just how good he is, but he's not had any luck this season. Now he finally gets it. Rudy Van Buren even happy. Yeah, come on, he was it, but he's still gonna be happy for his teammate. That's the sign of a team player. But fair play to Risto Capit. That right there, that is the mark of a Masters Series champion, a driver who does not give up regardless of the circumstances. And you know what? I've just gone back and I've just seen that was his first Super League win. What a way to get your first one.
That's so his first win in the championship, it is confirmed then. That's brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
First ever.
First ever win in Super League, the premier tier for Risto Capit, and it is very similar and very akin to Rubens Barrichello's first win in Formula One. Let's bring it into the interview room now after an amazing drive. Risto! At last, Risto Capit, you've done it. You are a winner in Super League for your first ever win. How does that feel, mate?
Extremely good, of course.
Well, talk us through it, because from 19th on the grid, you might... Well, let's just see what happens. You had nothing to lose going in. Just talk us through. How did you do it?
Yeah, we went for quite a low downforce setup. It was not the fastest in the wet, but yeah, for once I did not make any mistakes and all the racing came to me. I was as aggressive as I could and I was left room and I managed to squeeze by all the people when it counted. I know what happened to Rudy. He would have been slightly faster than me as usual, but I did all the right things and didn't make too many mistakes for once, and that's how it goes.
And of course, the confidence you now get from that win, that is hopefully now going to be the first of many. And it all kind of goes back to your brilliant performance in the off-season. In the Masters, you were really strong, and you came into this season full of confidence. It must be amazing to get that first win out of the bag now.
Yeah, it was a big time coming. There have been like 2 or 3 times this season where the win has been offered on a plate for me when Rudy disconnected or had a back of the grids, but I kept making mistakes. But good for once to prove to myself and others that I don't have to always make mistakes. So yeah, I expected it to come sometime this season, but it's very, very welcome. I'm very glad, very relieved. It makes me remember why I'm racing in the first place.
And to do it in the wet at Spa and to keep the Vodbull Motorsport record going 3 years in a row now at Spa, that must be extra sweet.
Well, I learned it now, but of course, for Vodbull, it's the main thing that we want to win and keep showing our dominant pace. Rudy had trouble this time, but as usual, we have all the preparation done. Not necessarily all the laps, but we know what to do, what to practice. We looked at the forecast, and we knew I had low down first, but the balance was right on, and all the things were covered, and we realized our pace and showed how it's done.
Fantastic.
I tell you this though, Risto, I'm so happy you got a win on the board, man. I've been saying for ages, win, please, and it's not come, and now you finally got one. Just come, Risto, well done, mate. Seriously, to be on the winners' table in Super League, because I believe that's your first ever Super League win too. How does it feel?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to prove you right. Yeah, it's of course big now that I'm here and now that I know what it takes to win. Of course, it's a big thing. It means a lot, and yeah, it does mean a lot.
I'm sure it means a lot to your teammate as well, Rudy and Boone, who we've also got with us in the broadcast booth. Rudy, not your race by any means of the imagination, but yeah, I saw you were happy for her still.
Did I do a race? That wasn't racing. It was one big pile of bullshit. But the good thing is Arista won, so congrats for that. That's the only positive thing I can note from today. And I don't know if I didn't even race. Whatever.
Yeah,
that was one big mess.
It was. You had a couple of incidents. We'll not go over those in too much detail. Obviously, you had a couple of incidents, but you still, with the damage you took to come back to win. Yeah, I know you won't be happy with it because we know how much you love to win, but it's something.
Well, it's not the win, but just getting a fair race in, and there was an accident. I think it was lap 7. I haven't seen it in the replay yet, so I'm not going to comment straight on it. But it collided. R52 collided. How do you sometimes you get 3 cars together, and I was in the middle of it. Got left front damage, fixed it. 10 kph top speed gone. Had an accident with Baldy, even more 5 kph top speed gone. So it was just one big ball that went rolling the wrong way. But you got those evenings, so I'll check the replays first before I start insulting people. But I was pretty pissed off at the moment what happened there. Completely useless. 7 laps into a 44 lap race. But yeah, again, I gotta watch the replay first before I go further on it.
It hasn't been your race, Rudy, but it's been a decent outing for Vodbull overall. I assume normal service will resume Monza will have 1 tip again?
Presume?
I'm sure Risto would like that.
Yeah. I think that's the only goal we take.
That's all he can really ask for.
We enter every race like that, and this one we're a bit on the back foot with me having the double block and Risto with 1, but when in Canada we proved it was possible, and here it was possible again, and Risto just did the cracking job. Did everything right, and then gets the deserved win.
Yeah, and well, I've been waiting for Risto to win. He finally has one. You've got another win on the board as Vodbull. Comedy safe fairer than that, can you? Well done, Risto. Well done, Rudy. Thanks for joining us, and good luck for the rest of the season, both of you.
Ciao, ciao.
Rightio, Jakey Sanson boy. Who's next?
Well, I think we've got to bring in the guy who was also on the podium with the, second position in the final reckoning after an absolutely sensational drive. So close to the win, but just missing out. Jarl Tyen from pole position. Jarl, this was a race again where you didn't really have anything to lose, and right from qualifying, it was always going to be a strong one for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've practiced a bit more at this track than other tracks, but my internet went out right before qualifying, and I came into the session with 4.5 minutes to go, and I was like, okay, looking at the track, maybe inters. I threw some inters on and just tried to keep it on the dry line, and I got it right at the end.
Absolutely incredible. And then obviously in the race, it was always going to be tough to beat Vodbull on pure pace, and it was always going to be it was going to be tough to know whether they would actually come through. But your strategy, you can't fault it. I mean, you threw everything at them and gave it the best shot you could have done.
I might once Risto passed me, actually, I wasn't really aiming at the win anymore. I kind of gave up the win and wanted to settle for second, and just cover everyone who's behind me and to make sure I was second. But yeah, Rista was just way too quick on wet weather tires. Like at the very beginning of the race, it was acceptable and I was able to pull away. But once it hit like 59-60% wet, everyone behind me started to catch me, and I just had to focus and just stay on track because that was not comfortable for me at all. But the lower to mid 50s for wetness, I was way more confident, and especially right at the end, once there was some inter conditions, that was a lot better for me, and I started actually to catch Rista at the end.
It was such a tough race, Josh. I mean, I know you brought.
Yeah, it was a really tough race. I know, y'all, and you had a couple of scary moments. I mean, for sure, I think all of the drivers did. But going to Inters, one of the first to go to Inters, must obviously proved to be the right choice in the end. But how much of a risk, really, at the time was it for you, do you think? Because obviously, you know, we could see they were getting quicker, but you had to go first, obviously, being behind Risto. But how scary was that, being the first? How much grip was there?
I actually expected less grip coming out of the pits, so it wasn't too bad, actually. But it was at the end of my wet weather run. I was, I think, 10 laps into my wet weather tires. So, like, I was forced to make a decision to either inters or wets. I think wets would have been the wrong decision, and it turned out to be. So I just throw in some inters and see what it does. Because even if it's the wrong choice, it's only like 2 laps away from being the right choice. So just keeping it on the track won't lose me too much time if it was the wrong choice. But at the end, it ended up being the right choice.
Yeah, ended up being the right choice. Obviously, everyone was going to the end towards the end of the race. But another good race for you and Wouters Automotive. Another great excursion at the office. Surely catching up to some of the higher ranked teams must be in your sights now. Maybe shooting for, you know, 3rd, 2nd in the team's championship.
I'll do my best to make Andreas proud. So we'll see.
I mean, you're 4th at the moment, but, you know, Mad Cape's got to be on your target list.
For sure, for sure. Anything ahead would be a bonus. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, anything is a bonus, isn't it? And a bonus podium for you. Well played and well deserved for you, Yartine. Well done again, once again, and we'll see you in the next couple of races.
Thank you, guys. Hope it's fun to watch.
Good job, y'all.
I do think, Jake, it might be time to get another person in the booth.
Yes, I think it's time to get the man who finished 3rd position. Very intense fight from the start of the race to the finish. David Fidek, reigning champion in the GPVWC Super League, 3rd today at Spa. David, that was a very, very tough drive from you today. At certain points in the race, certainly in the early stages, it looked as if you might have the car underneath you to win. Surely that must have been the game plan right from the start.
Yep, I let one go big time there. Don't know where to start. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I had loads of fun. Quali was good, going out for the last run with the drying track and managing to get P4, I think it was. But yeah, the start was good. Got behind Lucas, held the place, and then passed him a few laps later. But then, like, the undercut from people that pitted earlier was just so big that would, like, you know, I just lost loads of time and couldn't recover after that. And once I got back up to Jarl, congrats on the race, by the way, Jarl. That was great racing. He pitted a couple of laps early, so I tried putting the hammer down and lost it out of the corner just after sector 2. And had to repair lots of damage on the car, and wasn't the same afterwards. But yeah, I think every time in clear air, I was catching Jarl, pulling away from others. Yeah, I think if I got the lead early on, I could have maybe put up a fight with Risto, but he was just so strong today. Like, you know, Jesus, winning by 40 seconds from the back. It's like, you can have it, mate. I ain't arguing, Jesus.
And of course, you know, that's kind of affairs champion. Starting at the back, you just can't stop them from winning.
No, Risto did blimmin' amazing. Yeah, congrats, Risto, if you're there. Yeah, it's a stunning drive. I tried taking advantage early on, yeah, but like I said, I got stuck behind a couple of people. Yeah, wrong decision on tyres. But yeah, sometimes when I was racing people, like on the exit of Eau Rouge, I had a massive run, and they would cut a Rouge, straight line it to keep the place, and like not be able to overtake, so it's like a bit odd on that end as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with the improvements in pace. But yeah, a few mistakes on my end today. Yeah, but not down on Risto though. It's still an amazing drive. So.
But what a sensational race anyway, because anybody who brought finish was working hard, let alone it must have been so difficult to know when to make the switch to the intermediates towards the second half of the race. I mean, were you just kind of waiting for an instruction from the team, or did you kind of get an idea yourself when you were out in the car, now is the right moment?
No, it was all just feel from the track, and the telling tale for the Inters was Fournier. He was the guy I was racing at the time, and he pitted 3 laps earlier. And on his second lap out of the pits, he went 2 seconds quicker than me, so that's when I decided to pit. But yeah, whoever finished, congratulations. Yeah, it's a tough one to race. You know, like a lot of people struggle this race. I made a mistake. Don't think Risto did. Jarl did amazing, good side-by-side racing through sector 2. But yeah, well done everyone. Yeah, not much else to say.
And of course, that's pulled away from the rest of the teams in the Constructors' Championship. Nordsian still very solid in difficult race though for Flo. That could have made things easy.
Yeah, poor Flo's, like, I know you don't mind me saying it because he said it himself 50 times, but he's kind of like Massa when it comes to rain. Yeah, he didn't feel confident as soon as we found out it was raining. In the dry, we were equal pace. But yeah, I mean, if he carried on, you know, and just potted round, maybe he would have got bottom end of the points, but he parked the working car, so it was a bit annoying and on that sense. But yeah, I don't know what the gap is at the minute. I haven't seen the points. I guess we're solidly in P2 at the moment, but yeah, not many races left, I guess, so we should be okay.
Yeah, you've been in this run of podiums for a while now. You're really getting back into it. You know, we keep mentioning you say you're a late burner. You're coming back into it. And this race again, you were right up there with the top of it. And you know, if problems befall the Vodbull guys, you could be right back in the championship contention. Don't rule a third title out for David Feidick, I don't think.
This season, yeah, rule it out.
Oh, come on! Come off it, you can still win!
I've never heard such pessimism in all my life.
Unless you two have been drinking it, but every time someone crashed that race, then
I'm just drunk on optimism that Feidick's going to make it 3 for 3.
I need one now just to wind down. That's me.
I would love to think that, but Rudy's pace is so mind-blowing. Wet and dry, Risto's bloody crazy, so is Lee. And you got people like Jarl and Jeffrey Fournier like with you as well, and Flo. You know, it's so mixed up every race and so difficult, which is what this season is amazing in that sense, because everyone's so close in pace. You know, like you don't know the order.
Listen to me, I can do whatever you want. I can bribe Will to get your rocket boosters on the back of the Nordsian cars. I am your servant here, seriously. Just win the title.
Oh, dear, oh dear.
Jake and Josh, unless you're going to race and do me a favour, then it's not going to happen.
Oh, hey, do you a favour by racing? I'd not even get past that one and everyone would have finished.
I'll tell you what, it's been absolutely fantastic again to talk to you. Well done to David Feidick in third, to Jarl Tyen in second, and for the time, winner in Super League to Risto Cabot. Congratulations, gentlemen. It's been an absolutely fantastic race. Josh, where do we start? How do we sum that up? I tell you what, the Super League show next week is going to be a good.
You're not gonna be short on content, are you, Jake? You're gonna have loads to talk about. I bet it's gonna be an hour episode, knowing you, man. I mean, you'll oh God, you're gonna be so packed on that on Sim News, but you're not gonna have anything left to talk about. But how do you follow that up in 2 weeks' time? You're following up with Monza.
Yeah, the only way to get better than that is Monza, and that's good aero. Really going to pay off, and that's potentially a Vodbull 1-2 on the horizon, considering their current form. But the battle behind is going to be very interesting, with at least 4 to 5 cars able to get on the podium third spot. And it's not guaranteed that the Vodbulls will be 1 and 2. They've got to be very, very tactical about how they go about Monza. But of course, it's been a great race and we've really enjoyed it. And I think Rapid Scorpion said it earlier on that the race was turning into a GPVWC classic. And I tell you what, those first 18 laps were just about the most exciting sim racing I've ever commentated on, Josh.
It was pretty darn hectic, I'll give you that. That was hectic. I said, did I not say? And you quote me on this. I can have my money back.
Yeah.
Yes, I said it was going to be one of the best Super League races I've ever commentated on. And for once in my life, I wasn't wrong.
It was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, Joshua. And the final day, it's Jeff Fournier, Sean.
Gotta be. He's the people's champion, man. He's the people's champion. He's the champion in my heart. If you don't give it to Risto Capit, you've got to give it to Jeff Fournier. And surely Red Archer have got a full seat for him for the... Thank you, Josh. We'll wrap up now on the stream here in GPVWC. It's been an absolute cracker. Don't forget, we're doing it all again 2 weeks from now at Monza. Tuesday night, a fortnight from now, is the Formula Challenge. Wednesday is Super Cup. Thursday is Super League, and if that race is anything to go by, I'm doing a rain dance because the last. Let's not forget, for those of you who are tin top inclined, we've got the ITT starting in about 8 days' time as well. That's very true. Yes, I need to remind myself that the touring car is going to Donington Park next week. So same time, same place next week for more GPVWC action from the touring cars. I may even bag a place on the grid. Formula Challenge on Tuesday. No, Formula Challenge on Tuesday. Confidence, I'm going for it. So let us wrap up by saying a huge thank you to Argo Teeter on the camera, to Josh Anderson beside me, to Jake Sanson, that's me apparently, and to everybody. I will, just for keeping going. Thank you to everybody on the GPVWC team. It's been an absolutely cracking race. Well done to all of the drivers who finished and all those who tried. I'm going to get myself a bit of a shower, a cold one probably, to wind down for Monza in 2 weeks' time. It's been a great run. That's Josh Anderson. I'm Jake Sanson. See you again in 2 weeks' time.